Even the treasure appraisers of Tianshu City can't recognize the origins of this exotic treasure? Upon hearing this, everyone was extremely surprised. The treasure appraisers of Tianshu City, having hosted auctions for so many years, naturally possess exceptional insight. Each of them is highly discerning. As long as they glance at a treasure, they can generally uncover its details by 70 to 80%. Yet now, Venerable Jinbao claims that even those incredibly keen treasure appraisers can't recognize its origins. Immediately, even the distinguished guests in the VIP rooms showed expressions of interest. Interesting. Could it be an exotic treasure that has never appeared before? All eyes instantly focused on the treasure on the jade platform. It was a silver sphere the size of a fist, perfectly integrated on the surface without a trace of a seam. However, the sphere was dim and without any aura emitting from it. Aside from its somewhat peculiar appearance, no one could discern what was mystical about it. This silver sphere was unintentionally obtained by a fellow Taoist during a journey beyond. After acquiring it, he pondered for a full 100 years but never understood its mystery. Helpless, he felt incompatible with the treasure and straightforwardly sent it to our Tianshu City for auction. He hoped it would end up with its true destined owner and not remain in obscurity. Venerable Jinbao slowly revealed the reason for the silver sphere's appearance here. So, it's something from beyond. Everyone suddenly realized. If that's the case, then it's not surprising. Although the heavenly origin great world is vast, with numerous spiritual objects and exotic treasures, and countless strong individuals, it is not the only one. Without mentioning others, just within the great origin immortal domain, there are several grand worlds that can compare to it. In those grand worlds, there are likewise countless treasures, some unknown to this world's understanding. That's not surprising. Venerable, what is peculiar about this silver sphere you haven't mentioned yet? At this moment, someone shouted out. It's embarrassingly perplexing. Venerable Jinbao shook his head and said, our treasure appraisers in Tianshu City have assessed this exotic treasure for a long time and consulted numerous records and historical materials, but they couldn't verify the origins of this silver sphere or even identify its material. Even its prowess cannot be activated. No matter what methods are used to stimulate it, it remains unchanged, like the most ordinary sphere. The only thing known is that this silver sphere is indestructible. Even the force of the primordial spirit realm can't alter its shape, not even leaving the slightest mark. Unable to activate its prowess, only indestructible? Everyone instantly understood why the owner of this silver sphere would auction it. This thing, though peculiar-looking, is practically useless. Without any prowess, what's the point of being merely tough? Such a small sphere can't even be used as a defensive treasure. Realizing this, the vast majority immediately lost interest. Only a few strong individuals who like collecting oddities remained interested. This silver sphere turns out to be such a treasure? At this moment, in room 19 on the ground floor, Lu Qing gazed at the silver sphere, looking at the floating note information in his view, showing a jubilant expression. Void Core. Exotic Treasure. Tao Artifact Fragment. This core is a Tao artifact fragment, the power core of a void-flying boat, capable of extracting energy from myriad voids to supply the flying boat's needs. Tao artifact. A treasure containing a complete Taoist law can become a Tao artifact. This core has a special material and is indestructible. After Lu Qing read the note information, his heart was excited. He never expected that in this auction, he could encounter such an item. This silver sphere turned out to be the power core of a void-flying boat. No wonder he felt a flutter of anxiety when Venerable Jinbao had just presented the item. It was a wave from the void-flying boat he had already refined. No, can't reveal anything unusual. After exploring the origins of the silver sphere, Lu Qing immediately reacted, suppressing his shock and restoring calm. Fortunately, the 5 treasure Taoist beside him was also earnestly observing that silver sphere and did not notice Lu Qing's anomaly. However, Lu Qing had already decided in his heart, no matter the cost, he must acquire it. The void-flying boat is one of the most powerful magical treasures he owns. In terms of importance, besides the life-bound magical treasure, the Five Elements gourd, it ranks closest to it. Even the leaving fire tripod must follow behind it. After all, in essence, it is part of a Tao artifact. If he can acquire this core and integrate it into the flying boat, its prowess is bound to be enhanced again. At this time, little Li, lying in Lu Qing's embrace, also sensed something. Its ears perked up, curiously transmitting. Ah Qing, the aura of that sphere seems a bit like, Don't raise any alarm. We must win that silver sphere in the auction. Lu Qing quietly communicated to little Li. Little Li immediately understood that the sphere indeed related to the void-flying boat it sensed. Instantly, it couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Fortunately, with Lu Qing's reminder, it quickly concealed its emotions without being detected by the five treasure Taoist. Everyone, this silver sphere is not only indestructible, but my intuition tells me its interior may possibly contain enormous secrets. If any Taoist friends are interested, you certainly can't miss this opportunity. The voice of Venerable Jinbao rang out once again. In his words, there was no lack of persuasive intent. However, the crowd was not so easily swayed. After all, according to his words, if the secret of the sphere cannot be deciphered, then this thing is of no use at all. And even the sharp-eyed treasure appraisers of Tianshu City were unable to crack the mystery of this silver ball. They did not believe that their abilities could surpass those of the treasure appraisers. Of course, although no one wants to be taken for a fool, there are always those who like to stir things up. Immediately, someone shouted, "Venerable, what's the starting price for this item?" The starting price for this treasure is not high, only 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, with each bid raising no less than 1,000 spirit stones. Venerable Jinbao chuckled. 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. As soon as this price was announced, the entire hall was in an uproar. Simultaneously, some of those in the Golden Core realm who were still hoping to snag a bargain immediately dismissed the idea. 100,000 low-grade spirit stones could buy a treasure of high grade or above, perhaps even a top-grade treasure. Why bother buying something with an unknown origin and potentially useless purpose? It seems Tianshu City indeed treats this item as a treasure. The starting price isn't low at all. In the VIP rooms above, someone expressed surprise. "What, Brother Zhao? Do you have thoughts on this item?" Someone nearby asked. "I usually enjoy collecting oddities. If the price isn't too high, I might buy it for fun, but 100,000 spirit stones is a bit much." "Just 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, and Brother Zhao, you're hesitating? I presume you have your eyes on that high-grade spiritual artifact later. Isn't Brother Xing the same? You took out a communication jade token just now, probably to contact your family elder." "Indeed, nothing gets past Brother Zhao," Brother Xing laughed. "But since you're not bidding, I'll start things off. If I manage to win it, I'll give it to you as a favor." With that, he shouted the price to the floor below. "I bid 100,000 low-grade spirit stones." Below the hall, Venerable Jinbao, seeing that no one had been bidding, feared it was going to be a failed auction. He knew that many people in the VIP rooms above were probably conserving their strength to bid on the final high-grade spiritual artifact. But he hadn't expected that just a mere 100,000 low-grade spirit stones would cause them all to be so frugal. Luckily, someone finally bid, and a smile appeared on his face. The Taoist in VIP room number 1 has bid 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Is there anyone bidding higher? I'll bid 100,000 and 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. I'll bid 100,000, 5,000. I'll bid 111,000. After someone placed a bid, the strong individuals in the VIP rooms became interested. Not all of the strong individuals in the VIP rooms were focusing on bidding for the final high-grade spiritual artifact. Especially those loose cultivator primordial spirit great powers, who knew they couldn't possibly compete with the major sect forces. Therefore, those who were interested simply tried to see if they could acquire this exotic treasure whose origins Tianshu City couldn't decipher. Although they placed bids, everyone was still very restrained, raising the price by only a few thousand low-grade spirit stones each time. As a result, Once a primordial spirit realm bid reached 115,000 spirit stones, it quieted down again. But this scene already caused a stir among the cultivators below in the hall. There are really people bidding? It's no wonder, those capable of sitting in the VIP rooms, tossing out 100,000 spirit stones without blinking, just to buy an item of unclear purpose. I thought it was going to be a failed auction. It seems these sect forces and noble families are indeed wealthy beyond our imagination, far beyond what us small loose cultivators can envision. The cultivators in the hall were buzzing with discussion, their hearts filled with envy and jealousy. These strong individuals from major sects and great families truly controlled resources and wealth far beyond what they could match. It's up to 115,000 now. In VIP room 19, Lu Qing murmured to himself. He had not participated in bidding all this time, wanting to see the situation and assess how fierce the bidding would be. It now seemed that most of the forces wanted to save their spirit stones for bidding on that final high-grade spiritual stone. Therefore, they weren't so aggressive about the silver ball. This was an excellent opportunity for him. Seeing Venerable Jinbao below already starting to inquire if there were any higher bids, Lu Qing did not hesitate and slowly called out a price. 116,000 low-grade spirit stones. When Lu Qing called out this price, quite a few people were surprised. It wasn't just because they hadn't expected someone to continue bidding. More so because they realized the bid came from a VIP room that had never called out a price before VIP room 19. Unfortunately, the voice from the VIP room was concealed by an array, so they couldn't hear who was making the bid. Mr. Chen? Lu Qing's sudden bid not only surprised the cultivators outside, but also greatly shocked the 5 treasure Taoist. He looked at Lu Qing in disbelief. Didn't I mention before? I like to collect some odd and rare things. This silver ball, with its mysterious origin, suits my fancy. Lu Qing smiled. The 5 treasure Taoist was at a loss, recalling that Lu Qing had indeed mentioned this before in the market square. He even spent a high price on 2 ordinary magic artifacts for it. But he hadn't expected Lu Qing's tastes to be so flamboyant, willing to spend more than 10,000 spirit stones to buy an item of unknown purpose. Interesting. Someone dares to compete with me? In a certain heaven character room, a man in a black robe raised his eyebrows upon hearing Lu Qing's bid. Immediately, he shouted out a price, 12,000 spirit stones, adding 4,000 low-grade spirit stones in one breath. But Lu Qing was undeterred, immediately raising his bid, 12,500, 13,000, 14,000, 14,500, 15,000. When Lu Qing shouted 15,000 spirit stones, the 5 treasure Taoist's heart pounded with shock. Unable to hold back, he called out, Mr. Chen. However, Lu Qing waved his hand to stop him from continuing, his face still calm and composed. 15,000 low-grade spirit stones, though substantial, was far from reaching a level that would cause him distress. After all, he had made a fortune in the Little Tsang realm, plus what Mo Hongyun and Nangong Yuanwu had given him. It amounted to over 11,000 middle-grade spirit stones. Converted to low-grade spirit stones, that's over 110,000. Although he spent some after arriving in the heavenly origin great world, he still had thousands of middle-grade spirit stones on hand. The expenditure of a portion to acquire the power core of the void flying boat seemed well worth it to him. As Lu Qing shouted the figure of 15,000, the entire auction hall fell silent. The cultivators below were naturally shocked by this figure. The strong individuals in the numerous VIP rooms above were also somewhat surprised. He actually shouted 15,000. Could it be this silver ball truly holds some mystery? Who is the bidder? To bid so confidently, perhaps he knows the origin of the silver ball. For a moment, discussing the frenzy between Lu Qing and the man in a black robe sparked many speculations among the strong. Some even considered trying to bid as well. However, they hesitated. 15,000 spirit stones were nothing to scoff at, even for the strong individuals in the VIP rooms. Especially when they wanted to save their spirit stones for the later bidding on the top-grade spirit artifact, It wasn't worth it to waste on this enigmatic silver ball. So, eventually, the strong individuals in the VIP rooms did not continue to bid. Even that man in the black robe, after a moment of struggle, also decided not to bid further. Finally, with the decisive word from Venerable Jinbao, the silver ball was won by Lu Qing. Finally secured it safely. When Lu Qing heard Venerable Jinbao's announcement, a slight smile appeared on his face. Even little Li couldn't help but show excitement in his eyes. Mr. Chun, your expenditure is truly considerable. The 5 treasure Taoist only managed to calm his emotions with difficulty and couldn't help but sigh. He found himself increasingly unable to understand this Mr. Chun. Apart from his profound and unpredictable cultivation, now he was also displaying astonishing wealth. Such a person he had never even heard of before. It's just a little trinket I bought. This amount of spirit stones is nothing. The bidding for those spiritual artifacts later, that's the real grand expenditure. Lu Qing shook his head with a smile. He knew very well that he had gotten quite a bargain this time. Although others couldn't see the subtlety of the Void Core, just the fact that not even a primordial spirit realm power could damage it might attract the interest of many powerful figures. However, because there were high-grade spirit artifacts coming up later in the auction, many people wanted to conserve their strength and not casually waste spirit stones, allowing him to catch this opportunity. Otherwise, he would have had to pay a significant price to acquire the Void Core. At that moment, Lu Qing sensed a fluctuation coming from outside. A divine soul transmission reached him. Honored guest in box number 19. You have successfully bid for item number 38. Would you like us to deliver the treasure now or wait until after the auction? Is that an option? Lu Qing was pleased upon hearing this and immediately said, Then deliver it to me now. The Void Core was too important. The sooner he had it in his hands, the sooner he could be at ease. Please wait a moment, honored guest. After the divine soul transmission vanished, it wasn't long before there was a knock at the door. However, the door to the VIP room was located in the back, also concealed and protected by an array. This was to prevent the guests inside from being seen by others when the door was opened. The jade token in Lu Qing's hand was the key to controlling the array in the room. He manipulated the array and opened the door. Outside stood 2 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators in servant attire, standing respectfully. One of them was holding a silver sphere. Honored guest, we have brought item number 38. Please inspect it. Lu Qing stepped forward, took the silver sphere, and, activating his superpower, made a show of careful inspection. After a while, when he saw the note-like information appear in his view, he nodded slightly. Good, the item is correct. Do I pay now? Yes, we ask for your understanding, honored guest. One of the servants bowed respectfully. Without hesitation, Lu Qing took out a bag from the Chenkuan Qi bag, extracted some spirit stones, and handed the bag over. Here are 1,500 middle-grade spirit stones. Please count them to verify the amount. The 2 servants accepted the bag and meticulously counted in front of Lu Qing. Quickly, the 2 exchanged glances, confirming it was correct. One of them bowed respectfully. The amount is indeed correct. Thank you, honored guest. No problem. Then we will take our leave. We hope you will successfully bid for your desired treasures in the future. Thank you for your good wishes. After the 2 servants left, Lu Qing returned to his seat, playing with the silver sphere in his hand. Then he realized that without using his superpower, even he couldn't see through the mysteries of the Void Core. Only that faint tremor still existed in his heart. But that was also because he had refined the Void Flying Boat. Otherwise, he might not have detected anything extraordinary within. Mr. Chun, have you discovered the wonder of this object? The 5 treasure Taoist asked curiously. It's not that simple, Lu Qing replied with a smile. Even Tianshu City's treasure appraisers and so many primordial spirit realm masters can't unravel the mystery of this treasure. How could someone like me have such abilities to surpass those esteemed predecessors? I'm only interested in this item because it seems peculiar. That's why I bid for it, planning to study it slowly in the future. With that, he stored the silver sphere back in the Chenquin bag. Currently, he still didn't know what changes might occur when the void-flying boat and the core fused. This place was full of strong practitioners and not suitable. If it weren't for the fact that leaving now would draw some attention, Lu Qing wouldn't want to wait until the auction ended. The auction continued with intensity. However, as the treasures appearing later became increasingly precious, with starting prices of tens of thousands of spirit stones, cultivators in the hall below gradually lost the qualification to bid, leaving it to the competition among the guests in the VIP rooms above. Lu Qing just watched and didn't continue to bid. In the middle, there was a sword array magical treasure composed of 9 pieces of top-grade treasure-level flying swords that caught his interest. The 7-star sword formation he was pondering over would fit well with it. But unfortunately, the price of that sword array was indeed too high, not much less than the most exquisite treasures. If he wanted to bid for it, his spirit stones would probably be almost depleted. So, after hesitating for a while, Lu Qing ultimately gave up. Still too poor, Lu Qing couldn't help but sigh internally. His over 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones seemed like a lot. But at this auction, wanting to buy a somewhat powerful treasure, it might not even be enough. Compared to the sect forces and noble families, his amount of spirit stones was completely insignificant. I should still purchase some refining materials and refine flying swords myself when I have the chance, Lu Qing planned secretly in his heart. He holds the Leaving Fire tripod in his hand, along with the artifact refining legacy of the Li Hua sect. As long as there are suitable materials, crafting a magical treasure himself is not a difficult task. Moreover, a magical treasure crafted by oneself can be more effortlessly controlled. Once he has comprehended the 7-star sword formation, he can attempt to forge a set of flying swords for the formation himself. Next up is what everyone has been most looking forward to. It is also the last treasure of tonight. Just as Lu Qing was pondering this in his heart, the venerable Jinbao, after auctioning off a low-grade spirit artifact, began to speak aloud. Immediately, everyone's spirits lifted, knowing that the highlight of the night was finally here. Not only the cultivators in the hall below, but even the many primordial spirit great powers in the VIP rooms above straightened their bodies, with solemn expressions on their faces. Lu Qing also withdrew his thoughts and began to watch the scene below. It seems everyone can already guess. The venerable Jinbao paused and then continued, "Yes, the treasure to be auctioned next is this one." With that said, he waved his hand, and a treasure appeared, attracting everyone's attention. It was a bell-shaped magical treasure, a golden bell, dazzling and revealing an immortal aura. Although it appeared to be only palm-sized, the aura it emanated caused everyone's heart and spirit to tremble. This treasure is called the Immortal Golden Bell, an item of a venerable senior, specially entrusted to us in Tianshu City for auction. Venerable Jinbao began to narrate the origin of the Golden Bell treasure. While everyone listened, they also felt a chill in their hearts. To be addressed as a venerable senior by a primordial spirit great power like Venerable Jinbao, it must be a supreme great power who has walked a very long path in the primordial spirit realm. However, this is normal, as only such beings would have the audacity to auction even a high-grade spirit artifact. This immortal golden bell is an immaculate high-grade spirit artifact. Venerable Jinbao continued, "It can both attack and defend. It is a powerful spirit artifact combining both attack and defense. As for its specific powers, the fortunate one who wins the auction will experience it firsthand." Venerable Jinbao gave a brief introduction to the Golden Bell treasure, then paused to give the audience some time to react. Indeed, after hearing his introduction, all the great powers in the VIP rooms were shocked. An immortal golden bell, a high-grade spirit artifact combining attack and defense. It is not what we speculated, a possibly flawed high-grade spirit artifact, but perfect and flawless? A perfect and flawless high-grade spirit artifact combining attack and defense. We must seize it. Immediately contact the family head. At all costs, we must win this treasure at auction. A group of great powers, their heart and spirit trembling, immediately decided to go all out to win this spirit artifact. A perfect and flawless high-grade spirit artifact combining attack and defense. Brother Ling Xiao, I fear we will not be able to contend for it. In the room where disciples of the Chenkuan sect were, Gong Shu Zhang sighed. Those top-tier forces are probably going to go crazy now. Qian Lingxiao's expression was somewhat grim. He understood that what Gong Shu Zhang said made sense. If the immortal golden bell is indeed as perfect as Venerable Jinbao described, those top-tier forces are bound to bid with all their might. The spirit stones in his and Gong Shu Zhang's hands simply couldn't compete. Yet Qian Lingxiao was still somewhat unwilling to resign. He asked in a deep voice, "If I inform the sect, and Brother Zhang you inform the Gongsu family, could our two houses possibly win the immortal golden bell together?" The two houses working together? Gong Shu Zhang was first stunned, then shook his head. Brother Ling Xiao jokes. If our two houses join forces, there is indeed a slight possibility. But do you think your sect master and elders of the Chenkuan sect, and the ancestors of the Gongsu family would agree? Even if the spirit artifact is one, who would it belong to? Could it possibly fall into our hands? Qian Lingxiao was silent. He knew that Gong Shu Zhang was correct. The two of them had a good personal relationship and trusted each other, so it was naturally no problem to join forces to contend for the immortal golden bell. But the Chenkuan sect and the Gongsu family couldn't be expected to trust each other in the same way. Thus, what he just said was virtually impossible to achieve. Even if, hypothetically, the two houses jointly won the immortal golden bell, such a powerful supreme treasure couldn't possibly end up in their hands. Thinking this through, Qian Lingxiao chuckled bitterly. Brother Zhang is right. I was too fixated. It's understandable for Brother Ling Xiao to be agitated. High-grade spirit artifacts are too precious. Who wouldn't be tempted by them? Gong Shu Zhang laughed. Yan Qingzhu, standing silently behind them, had been quietly observing and listening to their conversation, her eyes flickering slightly. Immortal Golden Bell? When the Venerable Jinbao released the Golden Bell treasure, Lu Qing had activated his superpower and looked toward it. After a while, seeing the dense superpower light of such a dark purple that it was almost tangible, and the several lines of floating information. Gradually, an odd glint appeared in his eyes. This high-grade spirit artifact seems to be anything but simple. Looking at the lines of information in his vision, a hint of amusement appeared on Lu Qing's face. He was already somewhat looking forward to what would happen next. All fellow Taoists, please quiet down for a moment. Below, the Venerable Jinbao estimated that everyone had almost digested the information, and then spoke again. The entire venue immediately quieted down, all eyes firmly fixed on him. It seems everyone is already anticipating the starting bid for this treasure. The Venerable Jinbao, sensing the attention of the crowd, smiled. Old man won't keep you in suspense any longer. The starting bid for this immortal golden bell is 10 million low-grade spirit stones. However, that venerable senior also stated that he only accepts high-grade spirit stones, which means this treasure's starting bid is 1,000 high-grade spirit stones. Each bid must increase by not less than 100 pieces of high-grade spirit stones. 10 million low-grade spirit stones. But when the cultivators below in the hall heard this number, they all shook violently. Although they had anticipated that the price of a high-grade spirit artifact would be extraordinarily high. But upon hearing the number 10 million, they couldn't help but be shocked. It should be known that this amount of spirit stones is equivalent to the entire accumulation of some medium-sized sects. Even some first-class sects, if not good at management, might not have much more spirit stones accumulated internally than this. And this is just the starting bid. Soon, the honored guests in the VIP rooms above would inevitably start bidding frantically. It's unimaginable to what extent the final transaction price would escalate. The great powers in the VIP rooms, however, had another reaction. Only accepting high-grade spirit stones? Does the owner of the immortal golden bell intend to make a larger breakthrough? A primordial spirit great power was inwardly shaken, murmuring. Some primordial spirit great powers thought thoughtfully. It seems the one who put the immortal golden bell up for auction must be at least a foretribulation existence. Needing to auction such a treasure to gather high-grade spirit stones, could the owner of the immortal golden bell be a loose cultivator? As soon as they heard that bidding for the immortal golden bell required payment in high-grade spirit stones, many in the primordial spirit realm immediately had many conjectures. Some primordial spirit great powers showed expressions of hesitation. High-grade spirit stones are strategic resources, one of the metrics for measuring a power's foundational strength. Mobilizing so many high-grade spirit stones all at once, even for these top-tier forces standing atop the heavenly origin great world, is a matter worthy of careful consideration. Moreover, the fact that a supreme great power might use a large amount of high-grade spirit stones for a breakthrough is very significant news to them. However, feeling the aura revealed by the golden bell treasure below, the hesitant great powers' faces became determined again. A perfect and flawless high-grade spirit artifact is extremely rare. There aren't many such items in the entire heavenly origin great world. Missing this opportunity, who knows when the next one will come. Spirit stones can be amassed again, but such supreme treasures are incredibly hard to encounter a second time. Immediately, with the Venerable Jinbao's announcement of the start of the bidding, the frenzied auction began. 9,000 high-grade spirit stones. 9,300 high-grade spirit stones. 9,500. 10,000. When a primordial spirit realm great power gritted his teeth and shouted out 10,000 high-grade spirit stones, the entire auction hall fell silent. Not only were the cultivators below the hall dumbfounded, but even the great powers in the VIP rooms had their hearts and spirits shaken. There was no way around it. This price was simply too astonishing. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones, when converted into the most widely circulated low-grade spirit stones, equals 1 billion. Such a sum, even for the most elite forces in the heavenly origin great world, could be considered a vast fortune. After spending it, not to say crippling their foundations, it would at least deplete a significant portion of their potential. Indeed, even if our two families truly work together, we would still hardly compete with these top-notch forces. In the VIP room where Chengkuan sect disciples were present, Qian Lingshao sighed deeply, finally giving up. 1 billion low-grade spirit stones. Perhaps Chengkuan sect could also gather them. But doing so would mean depleting the sect's spirit stone foundation. At that time, the sect would become impoverished and unable to function. Even taking out half would leave the sect struggling, and the disciples' cultivation would have to be done frugally, let alone offering only high-grade spirit stones, as the one who brought out the immortal golden bell demands. Trying hard to gather 1 billion low-grade spirit stones, maybe Chengkuan sect could manage somehow. But 10,000 high-grade spirit stones were simply impossible to produce. The difference between the two is the disparity in foundation between their Chengkuan sect and those top-tier sects. The power of the Gongsu family is not far from their Chengkuan sect, so even if the two of them join forces, they might not necessarily compete against these deeply rooted top sects. Moreover, this 10,000 high-grade spirit stones may not even be the final sale price. Indeed, after a period of silence, finally, someone shouted out a higher price. 11,000 high-grade spirit stones. As soon as this price was announced, everyone was shaken again. The bidder unexpectedly added 1,000 high-grade spirit stones manually, which converts to 10 million low-grade spirit stones. It seems these great forces truly intend to stake their sect's foundation. I wonder which force is so extravagant. Is it the Heavenly Sword Sect, Overlord Clan, Daoshu Temple, or Biluo Palace? Among the forces that came to Tianshu City, these are the strongest, right? Everyone started discussing, guessing which top-tier force had placed the bid. And after this price, silence lingered for a while until someone continued with a new bid. Thus, the bidding became much slower, yet even more suspenseful. Finally, when a great power shouted out 15,000 high-grade spirit stones, no other great power dared to bid anymore. After a long time and several reminders from Venerable Jinbao, seeing no one else raising the bid, he made the final decision. Since no one else is bidding, this immortal golden bell will belong to the esteemed guest in Sky Room number 3. As soon as the words fell, The previously tense and oppressive auction hall exploded in excitement. It's finally over. Just now I was so nervous I didn't even dare to breathe. 15,000 high-grade spirit stones. Which force placed this bid? Surely their sect foundation must have dipped considerably. They are really willing. Although high-grade spirit artifacts are precious, the price is frighteningly high. High-grade spirit artifacts cost 1,500,000,000 low-grade spirit stones to auction off. So how much of a fortune are top-grade spiritual artifacts? What are you thinking? Top-grade spiritual artifacts are legendary, and within our entire heavenly origin great world, the number of forces possessing such treasures can probably be counted on one hand. Such treasures can suppress the fortune of a sect or clan for generations. Who would be foolish enough to bring them out for auction? Even if they appeared, I'm afraid no one would be honest enough to bid, but would directly launch a war to seize them. Stop dreaming. The few top-grade spiritual artifacts we humans possess are said to be held by the most powerful great powers. They are the trump cards against the demon clan and hold a vital role in the fate and survival of the human race. It's impossible to take them out, let alone auction them off. The hall below was bustling with discussions while in the VIP rooms above. Some people's expressions were quite grim. Who is it that dared to compete with our overlord clan? Is it Daoshu Temple, Biluo Palace, or the Heavenly Sword Sect? Ba Tian of the Overlord clan had a face filled with cold anger. He hadn't expected that even after going up to 14,000 high-grade spirit stones, he still failed to acquire this high-grade spirit artifact. And this sum was the maximum limit he had reached after contacting his ancestral forebears. Exceeding this number would cause great harm to the foundation and essential vitality of their Overlord clan, affecting future developments. So in the end, he could only watch helplessly as the price was pushed higher, unable to bid further. At this moment, saying Ba Tian wasn't angry inside would be false. He had never experienced such suffocating frustration, yet no matter how angry he felt inside, he did not dare to act out here. Not to mention the auction hall was full of numerous primordial spirit great powers. The Tianshu City Lord was said to be a powerful being over the third tribulation in the primordial spirit realm. Even such an existence, the Overlord clan had to treat with respect. In the end, he could only swallow down his full discontent. They actually bid 15,000 high-grade spirit stones. In Earth Room 19, Lu Qing also exclaimed in awe. The price of this high-grade spiritual artifact was truly terrifying. The wealth of these top forces is equally terrifying. They can casually bring out over 100 million spirit stones. A high-grade spirit artifact might even be a supreme treasure that can suppress the fortune of a sect. No wonder these top forces are going crazy over it. Fortunately, this time not too many forces came to Tianshu City. Otherwise, the scene would be even more frenzied. I just wonder whose hands this immortal golden bell will end up in. The 5 treasure Taoist also sighed. It doesn't matter whose hands it ends up in. It has nothing to do with us. All right, the show's over, and it's time for us to leave, Lu Qing said with a smile. In the time that followed, Lu Qing first retrieved the spirit stones he had previously placed as a deposit, and then he and the 5 treasure Taoists left the auction hall together. When they left, they also used the transmission array. Thus, from start to finish, no one except for the auction organizers knew that they were the guests of Room 19. In terms of confidentiality, Tianshu City, which has held countless auctions, does a really good job. After leaving the auction hall, the two of them deliberately took a detour to ensure they were not being followed before returning to the place they rented their cave mansion. Taoist, now that the excitement is over, I may need to go into seclusion for a while. Regarding information about the secret realm, please pay more attention to it, and if anything changes, inform me, Lu Qing said with a smile before each went to their own cave mansion. Mr. Chun, don't worry, leave it to me, the 5 treasure Taoist immediately assured, patting his chest. He clearly understood his position and knew he needed to cling to Lu Qing. He had no objection to running errands like gathering information. Then I'll trouble the Taoist, Lu Qing said. After entering the cave mansion, Lu Qing sat down cross-legged. Before he could do anything, little Li jumped out from his embrace. Ah Ching! Ah Ching! Quickly take out the treasures we bought to have a look. Completely in a little miser's appearance. All right. Lu Qing chuckled and then took out the things he bought today to show little Li. Little Li first hugged the silver sphere tightly and carefully sensed it. After all, this was related to Lu Qing's void flying boat. Little Li was well aware of its extraordinary power. It can be said that without the void flying boat, they never would have reached this vast heavenly origin great world. After hugging it for a while and carefully sensing the aura of the treasure, little Li finally let it go, satisfied, and looked at the remaining 2 treasures. Then, it somewhat disdainfully glanced at the prayer wheel before finally looking at the last gray bead. Ah Ching! What treasure is this bead? Although little Li's sensing ability could detect the aura of the treasure, it was unclear about the treasure's specific origin. But it knew Lu Qing had a more magical ability that could deduce the true origin of the treasure. This treasure is not simple. This bead is called a Chaos Pearl. It is a bead formed when a vast secret realm space, or perhaps an entire world, returned to chaos and was about to perish. Under various coincidences, it absorbed a large amount of spatial power and a trace of chaotic power. Lu Qing picked up the gray bead, a trace of emotion in his eyes. He never expected his luck to be so good as to pick up such a rare treasure. The essence of this Chaos Pearl is extremely strong. If refined properly, it could easily become a spiritual artifact with immense potential. In the future, it could even be upgraded to a middle-grade or even high-grade spiritual artifact. More importantly, this Chaos Pearl has another extremely important function. It can enhance the essence of a spiritual artifact. As long as it is integrated into an existing spiritual artifact, it can greatly enhance the artifact's potential. If the grade of the artifact itself is not very high, there's even a great chance its grade could be directly elevated by 1 level. In other words, if he now integrates this Chaos Pearl into the Chenquin Chi bag, the Chenquin Chi bag could almost immediately be upgraded to a middle-grade spiritual artifact. If it were the Leaving Fire tripod, integrating it would grant it the potential to become a high-grade spiritual artifact. A bead born when a secret realm space or world is about to perish? Little Li was astonished after hearing this. Although it could sense the extraordinariness of the Chaos Pearl, it never imagined that such a small gray bead had such a significant origin. Does this mean we can have another spiritual artifact? Little Li asked. There's no rush. I need to think more about how to use this Chaos Pearl. Lu Qing shook his head. To be honest, he was having difficulty deciding how to use the Chaos Pearl. Should he refine it into a spiritual artifact, or should he integrate it into a treasure he already possessed? The former would require a substantial amount of time and the gathering of other materials for assistance. Moreover, with his current realm, refining a spiritual artifact was still beyond his ability. If he chose the latter, Lu Qing was also struggling to decide which treasure to integrate it into. Currently, he possessed several important treasures, namely the 5 Elements gourd, the Void Flying Boat, the Leaving Fire tripod, the Chenquin Chi bag, and the 5 Elements bead in his forehead acupoint. Among these, the Void Flying Boat was not in consideration as its essence was a Dao artifact. Even if he integrated a single Chaos Pearl, it would unlikely cause a significant enhancement of its essence. The Chenquin Chi bag was mostly used by Lu Qing as a storage magical treasure. Even if it were improved to a middle-grade spiritual artifact, its power might not necessarily surpass the Leaving Fire tripod. The remaining choices were the 5 Elements gourd, the Leaving Fire tripod, and the 5 Elements bead. Among them, the 5 Elements gourd was Lu Qing's life-bound spiritual artifact, closely connected with him, and in theory the most important. But the 5 Elements bead was also exceptional, with the Divine Soul Talisman residing within, constantly protecting and nourishing his divine soul. Their importance was not much lesser than the 5 Elements gourd. The issue was that both treasures, due to their close connection to Lu Qing, were restricted by his realm and hadn't yet metamorphosed. They were still top-grade treasures. Integrating the Chaos Pearl now seemed too early. As for the last one, the Leaving Fire tripod, this middle-grade spiritual device was arguably the most powerful treasure Lu Qing currently owned. if he integrated the Chaos Pearl to enhance its essence. Not only would its power sharply increase, but there was also a significant possibility that it could become a high-grade spiritual artifact in the future. Lu Qing recalled a pact he had made with Yen when he refined the Leaving Fire tripod back then. He promised to release it one day. Once Yen was freed, the power of the Leaving Fire tripod would certainly decrease. He would have to cultivate a new artifact spirit, which would be a significant expenditure of time and effort. Although based on Yan's performance over the years, it seemed to have completely submitted to him. It was ultimately still an unstable factor. The Chaos Pearl was the only one, and it had to be used carefully. After much consideration, Lu Qing still couldn't make up his mind. In the end, he put away the Chaos Pearl, planning to decide when there was an appropriate opportunity in the future. As for the prayer wheel, like Little Li, Lu Qing gave it a glance and didn't pay it much attention. Although the treasure's grade was not high, the peculiar rune inscribed on it was quite intriguing. However, Lu Qing was not in the mood to study it at the moment. Finally, Lu Qing turned his attention to the silver sphere. Lu Qing chose to study the void core in the spirit tool space of the Leaving Fire tripod to ensure confidentiality. After all, the void core is the power core of the void flying boat, and it's uncertain what transformations might occur upon contact. His cave mansion, despite having an array to conceal fluctuations, is merely of golden core level and potentially unreliable. The Leaving Fire tripod is a middle-grade spiritual device, naturally inclined towards suppression, with its spirit tool space being incredibly stable and effective in concealing aura and shielding cause and effect. Even if any changes indeed transpire under double concealment, it would be hard for the external world to detect. As the void flying boat emerged, Yen quieted down. Being the artifact spirit, it naturally understands the prowess of this flying boat, and seeing Lu Qing suddenly take it out, there must be something urgent. Just after releasing the void flying boat, Lu Qing already sensed a mysterious connection between the void core in his hand and the flying boat. Unseen forces seemed to want to make it fly out of his hand towards the flying boat. Simultaneously, he felt a force of attraction emanating from the void flying boat to absorb the void core. He didn't stop it and released the silver sphere, letting it fly towards the flying boat. At the moment the sphere touched the flying boat, the void flying boat's surface turned liquid-like, fully integrating it inside. In the next instant, radiance bloomed, dazzling silver light burst forth from the void flying boat. A formidable energy emerged out of nowhere, sweeping across the surroundings. Sensing this energy, Yen instantly changed its countenance. Being the artifact spirit, it felt a sense of dread from that energy. It was an instinctive awe facing a magical treasure far exceeding its own essence. Lu Qing, feeling the powerful energy emanating from the void flying boat, felt a bit relieved. Thankfully, he chose to integrate the core within the spirit tool space. Otherwise, such a potent magical treasure aura couldn't have been concealed by the external cave mansion array. Otherwise, the entire Tianshu city would likely be alerted by this aura. Simultaneously, his eyes held expectations. He wondered what new changes would occur in the void flying boat after this integration. Dozens of breaths later, the integration was still not complete, but the aura emitted by the void flying boat was becoming increasingly more formidable. Even the spirit tool space of the Leaving Fire tripod began to faintly tremble and fluctuate. Lu Qing had to join forces with Yen to activate the array within the tripod to stabilize the spirit tool space again. The integration of the void flying boat and the core lasted a full quarter hour before the energy gradually retracted, and the silver light slowly dimmed. When the silver light completely faded, revealing the body of the void flying boat, Lu Qing noticed that though the originally damaged boat body still had gaps, those gaps had significantly shrunk. The aura of the flying boat also grew more restrained, yet the unfathomable, vast energy subtly seeped out, making the entire flying boat cause tremors and fluctuations merely by lingering there in the surrounding spirit tool space. "Master, this flying boat," Yen called out somewhat tremblingly, could perceive that, at this moment, the void flying boat was far more powerful than before, making it, as an artifact spirit of a middle-grade spiritual device, feel a deep-rooted dread. Let me take a look first. Lu Qing's tone also held a trace of excitement. He had long refined the void flying boat, and now, through his divine soul mark left in the flying boat, he could already sense that the energy of the void flying boat had undergone a qualitative transformation. Yet, to understand what changes, he had to slowly explore and investigate on his own. Lu Qing first activated his superpower and looked towards the void flying boat. After a while, almost substantiated purple superpower light surged from the flying boat, and several textual strips floated out. Void flying boat. Exotic treasure. Dao artifact fragment. This flying boat is one of the major components of a certain powerful Dao artifact, made of special materials, once severely damaged. After integrating the void core, its damaged condition greatly improved, energy somewhat restored, now elevated to a top-grade spiritual artifact level. A Dao artifact contains a complete Taoist law and can become a Dao artifact. This flying boat possesses the ability to traverse the void and escape at high speed. After integrating the power core, the void flying boat has become complete. It can draw energy from the myriad voids to restore itself. Indeed, it's restored to top-grade spiritual artifact level. When Lu Qing finished reading those textual strip messages, his eyes revealed an incredibly joyful expression. Although he had somewhat anticipated the void flying boat's energy when he felt it moments ago. Yet, truly seeing the textual messages displaying its restored top-grade spiritual artifact power, he couldn't suppress his excitement. This is a top-grade spiritual artifact. Just an hour ago, the frenzy at the auction over the immortal golden bell was still vivid in his mind. Those top-tier forces, spending billions of spirit stones, strive to seize it. It's imaginable how precious top-grade spiritual artifacts are. Unexpectedly, the void flying boat, after integrating the core, likewise became a top-grade spiritual artifact. Moreover, according to the message revealed by the textual strips, after integrating the core, the void flying boat became complete. Now it's already able to draw energy from the myriad voids, continuing to recover. When it completely repairs the boat body, perhaps it will undergo another transformation. And those major forces, because they wanted to conserve strength to contend for the immortal golden bell, allowed me to smoothly purchase the void core. Lu Qing felt immense joy and relief. The gains from this auction were truly substantial. Even if I gain nothing in the secret realm next, this trip to Tianshu City has been completely worthwhile. After managing to calm his emotions somewhat, Lu Qing began to carefully sense the changes inside the void flying boat with his heart and spirit. Then he discovered that the void flying boat now had an improvement in its power of a qualitative kind. More importantly, at the central position deep within the boat, there was a silver sphere, with extremely complex and mysterious rune arrays slowly rotating on it. With each rotation, a large amount of energy was drawn from the depths of the void, stored up, and slowly repaired the boat's body, completely ignoring the isolation of the leaving fire tripod's spiritual artifact space. This process was very slow, and Lu Qing estimated that at this rate, it might take hundreds of years to completely repair the boat's body. However, he was already very satisfied. After the void flying boat fused with the core this time, it not only returned to the level of a high-grade spirit artifact, but also constantly drew energy from the void with its core, meaning that he would no longer need to spend spirit stones every time he operated the boat as he had before. Unfortunately, there are too many powerful figures in the heavenly origin great world to test the power of the void flying boat after its transformation. The power of a high-grade spirit artifact is bound to be incredibly astonishing and shake the surroundings when it erupts. It's hard to say if it would be sensed by some old monster in seclusion somewhere. With his current strength, once it's discovered by the outside world that he possesses a high-grade spirit artifact, those top forces and primordial spirit realm monsters would likely swarm over and tear him apart. So Lu Qing decided that he must never use the void flying boat unless it's a matter of life and death. After sensing a little longer, Lu Qing stored the void flying boat into the Chenkuan Qi bag. Master, has the grade of this flying boat been improved? At this moment, Yen couldn't help but ask. Indeed, the grade of the void flying boat has now evolved into a high-grade spirit artifact. Lu Qing nodded. It's truly like that. Yen couldn't help but be shocked. Even though, as an artifact spirit, it had already speculated when it sensed the remarkable power of the void flying boat. When Lu Qing confirmed it, it couldn't help but be astonished. Master, what is that silver sphere? Since coming to the heavenly origin great world, Yen had been staying obediently within the leaving fire tripod, no longer revealing its form like it used to in its home world. It rarely dared to use its spiritual sense to check the outside world, because it knew that the heavenly origin great world was not like its home world. There are many primordial spirit realm beings here, and those powerful beings have extremely keen spiritual senses. If it's discovered as an artifact spirit, it could bring great trouble to Lu Qing. So Yen only knew that Lu Qing went to the auction but didn't know what happened there. This sphere is one of the core components of the void flying boat. Lu Qing replied, I discovered it at the auction and managed to acquire it. I didn't expect it would further elevate the boat's grade. The master's luck is indeed profound. Yen couldn't help but exclaim, just going to an auction and encountering a core that could transform the void flying boat. Lu Qing's great fortune really left people in awe. It's just luck. Lu Qing smiled a bit. By the way, Elder Yen, there's something I want to ask you. Please speak, Master. Yen immediately perked up. I want to refine a set of flying swords, but I need to go into seclusion for a while and don't have the time now. I would like to ask Elder Yen to help me refine the sword embryos first, using this meteoric iron as the main material. With a wave of Lu Qing's hand, a large piece of meteoric iron appeared before him. Using this meteoric iron to refine sword embryos? Leave it to me. Yen immediately understood when Lu Qing mentioned using meteoric iron to refine sword embryos that the flying swords he wanted to craft could not be simple. After all, meteoric iron is no ordinary material. It's an unparalleled spiritual material for refining spiritual artifacts. Master, what style do you want them in? The style of the sword embryos is roughly like this. Lu Qing lightly drew with his finger, sketching out the design for the flying swords he needed in the void. Yen took one look and immediately remembered. Master, rest assured, I will refine them quickly. With your help, I feel assured. Lu Qing had considerable trust in Yen's artifact refining abilities. This one was, after all, an ancient existence that had lived for tens of thousands of years. In the ancient immortal cultivation era, every time Lihua sect refined important magical treasures and elixirs, the leaving fire tripod had to be used. Over time and with personal involvement, Yen's artifact refining and alchemy skills were also extremely high, at least at the master level. Moreover, the leaving fire tripod had long since been restored to its peak state, making refining several sword embryos an easy task. After cautioning Yen a bit more, Lu Qing then left the spiritual artifact space. Ah Qing, how did it go? Little Li had been waiting beside the leaving fire tripod and immediately jumped onto his shoulder to ask when he came out. Great harvest. Lu Qing rubbed its head. After the core was integrated into the flying boat, the void flying boat's grade has now been restored to the high-grade spirit artifact class. High-grade spirit artifact? Little Li's eyes widened, its mouth slightly agape, looking incredulous. It remembered at the auction how the top forces had madly outbid each other for a high-grade spirit artifact. At that time, it was just as shocked as Lu Qing by the value of a high-grade spirit artifact. Yet, unexpectedly, right away, they also had a high-grade spirit artifact. Ah Qing, does that mean we also have 15 million spirit stones? Little Li asked blankly. You can't calculate it that way. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh at its expression. High-grade spirit artifacts are priceless, with few willing to sell them at auction. The reason one appeared at this auction was due to special circumstances. After this, it might be 1,000 years before such a situation arises again. Besides, our void flying boat is far more precious than typical high-grade spirit artifacts, far beyond what spirit stones can measure. Moreover, even that immortal golden bell had some trickery with it. The major force that successfully bid for it will not easily gain full control. Lu Qing recalled the information he discovered using superpowers at the auction and thought to himself. He knew that the matter of the immortal golden bell was far from over. In the future, this high-grade spirit artifact might cause a significant uproar. However, Lu Qing did not tell Little Li about these things. After playing with Little Li for a while, Lu Qing composed himself and prepared to start closed-door cultivation. This time during seclusion, he would again activate his superpower and continue comprehending the 7-star sword formation. Previously, he had comprehended 6 of the 7 basic sword intents required for the 7-star sword intent. Only the last and most important Tianshu sword intent remained to be comprehended. The aura of sudden enlightenment surged within Lu Qing. Before long, he successfully comprehended the Tianshu sword intent. With that, he had comprehended all 7 basic sword intents. Next, he must fuse these 7 sword intents to refine the 7-star sword intent. Once the 7-star sword intent is successfully refined, he can officially cultivate the 7-star sword formation. This step would not be easy. Under normal circumstances, one must at least be in the primordial spirit realm to have a chance. But Lu Qing, as an anomaly in the cultivation world due to his superpowers, was able to accomplish such an almost impossible task. Time quietly passed during Lu Qing's comprehension. Meanwhile, during Lu Qing's seclusion, Tianshu City was far from peaceful. This step would not be easy. Under normal circumstances, one must at least be in the primordial spirit realm to have a chance. But Lu Qing, as an anomaly in the cultivation world due to his superpowers, was able to accomplish such an almost impossible task. Time quietly passed during Lu Qing's comprehension. Meanwhile, during Lu Qing's seclusion, Tianshu City was far from peaceful. Are you saying that the secret realm being nurtured on Tianshu Sacred Mountain has some fluctuations? That's right. Just now, a fellow adventurer who returned from Tianshu Sacred Mountain said that the fluctuations from the nurturing secret realm suddenly surged today and are becoming increasingly intense. It's likely that it will completely emerge in the coming days. But didn't the primordial spirit great powers predict that the secret realm wouldn't appear for at least half a month? This secret realm is extraordinary. Just from the fluctuations it reveals, it's certain to be a once-in-a-thousand-years large-scale secret realm. Otherwise, those sect forces and noble families wouldn't travel thousands of miles to come here. Such an extraordinary secret realm is inherently exceptional, so it's normal for the great powers' calculations to be inaccurate. So, does the secret realm really have the potential to emerge early? In that case, we should prepare to head to Tianshu Sacred Mountain. But I just returned from the Divine Mountain not long ago, and the mountain chi in my body hasn't fully dissipated yet. It will be difficult to enter the Divine Mountain again in a short time. What should I do? You're in a better position. You've been back for 7 days. At most you'll be delayed a few days before you can enter the mountain again. I just returned yesterday, and by the time the mountain chi dissipates, I'm afraid the opportunities in the secret realm will have already been divided. There's no need to panic. It might just be a normal fluctuation. The calculations of the great powers might not necessarily be wrong. The entire Tianshu city was abuzz with discussions among the cultivators. The fluctuations from the nurturing secret realm on Tianshu Sacred Mountain were extremely intense, making them impossible to hide. So whenever there was any anomaly, it would be immediately reported back to several cities at the foot of the mountain. This anomaly was no exception. The intensity of the fluctuations convinced many cultivators that the secret realm was indeed about to emerge. Immediately, many cultivators hurried to set off for Tianshu Sacred Mountain. Is the secret realm about to emerge? The 5 treasure Taoist, who came out every day to gather information, was shocked upon hearing the surrounding discussions. He hurriedly returned to the mountain peak where he resided, wanting to inform Lu Qing of this matter. However, when he arrived at Lu Qing's cave mansion, he saw a sign outside saying no visits were accepted. He called out several times but received no response. He immediately understood that Lu Qing was likely in deep meditation. This made him hesitant to disturb, fearing that Lu Qing might be at a critical moment in his retreat. If his insights were interrupted, it could easily lead to enmity. The 5 treasure Taoists had no choice but to continue to closely monitor the news in the city while anxiously waiting for Lu Qing to come out of seclusion. What he did not know was that, at this moment, inside the cave mansion, Lu Qing was surrounded by a mysterious domain. Countless sword qi moved within, operating along mysterious trajectories. Sword intent spread around, with terrifying power waiting to be unleashed, trembling even the surrounding space. After a while, Lu Qing withdrew the domain, and the cave mansion instantly returned to tranquility. Indeed, the sword qi domain perfectly complements the 7-star sword formation. The cultivation heritage from the small world is not without merit. It has its points of value. Lu Qing was lost in thought. Then with a flip of his hand, a small sword qi domain appeared in his hand. Within it, the sword qi surged and moved, operating along a mysterious array trajectory. If a strong person from Tianshu City were present at this moment, witnessing this scene, they would certainly be shocked. This is because the small sword qi domain operating in Lu Qing's palm was one of the transformations of the 7-star sword formation. Indeed, Lu Qing has now not only condensed the 7-star sword intent. He has even fully mastered the first 3 transformations of the 7-star sword formation. The 7-star sword formation has a total of 7 array transformations. The first 3 are golden core level sword arrays, while the remaining 4 can only be performed by primordial spirit realm sword arrays. And Lu Qing has fully mastered the first 3 golden core realm sword arrays. Moreover, he has taken it a step further by integrating the sword array into his sword qi domain, allowing more seamless control over it. This has been Lu Qing's idea all along. The martial arts domain comes from his home world during an era of spiritual energy scarcity. Generations of martial arts geniuses strive to better master power, researching a unique form of energy. The pursuit is the unity of heaven and man realm and extreme mastery over heaven and earth power. However, in the heavenly origin great world, there is no similar heritage. After all, this vast world is filled with abundant spiritual energy, eternal existence, never having experienced spiritual energy scarcity. The world within thrives on various immensely powerful cultivation methods. The pursuit is higher realms and deeper cultivation. There's no worry about a day coming when spiritual energy runs out. Unlike the home world, during an era of spiritual energy scarcity, the cultivation limit was set. Generations of martial artists pursue breakthroughs and mastering stronger power. They have to find every possible way to research techniques to enhance self-strength. Among them, how to flawlessly master each thread of power one possesses and unleash forces beyond one's limits, is one path. An epitome along this path is the domain. With the divine soul sensing heaven and earth rules, the divine melt heaven and earth, mastering surrounding heaven and earth rules, forming one's own domain. Once the domain is established, martial artists can use their own power as a fulcrum to leverage heaven and earth power, unleashing forces far beyond themselves. Don't underestimate this cultivation system, established by martial artists with a limit of innate realm. In truth, this is actually an extremely advanced cultivation path. This realization came to Lu Qing after he comprehended many cultivation methods in the heavenly origin great world. Thus, he understood that each world's cultivation methods have their unique characteristics. The cultivation methods of the small world are not necessarily inferior to those of the great world. However, the world's limits restrict the cultivator's realm limits. Thus, they don't have the opportunity to advance these cultivation methods to higher levels. This is why the cultivation methods of the small world are not as good as those of the great world. The foundation of my sword Dao originates from the sword energy domain comprehended by my master. The method of domains can actually have a very high limit, and its cultivation concepts are not inferior to the profound inheritance of these great worlds. Perhaps, in the upcoming days, I can attempt to integrate both the 7-star sword formation and skybreaking sword qi into my domain. Develop a unique sword Dao domain belonging solely to me. Lu Qing played with the miniature sword energy domain in his hand, but his heart was in turmoil. If someone knew Lu Qing's thoughts right now, they would be astonished and undoubtedly ridicule his arrogance. Both the seven-star sword formation and the sky-breaking sword Qi are supreme sword Dao inheritances left by primordial spirit great powers. For other cultivators, even ordinary primordial spirit realm cultivators, obtaining either would leave them ecstatic and revered as supreme inheritances. They would dare only to diligently comprehend, hoping to master them. No one would dare to have other ideas. Yet Lu Qing is merely a small golden core realm cultivator. And he's foolishly contemplating integrating these two top-tier primordial spirit inheritances into his own cultivation method. What arrogance, what ignorance of the sky and the earth. But Lu Qing never cared about such things. Even inheritance left by top-tier primordial spirit great powers, in his view, is like other inheritances, necessarily not perfect. If otherwise, the great powers who left these inheritances wouldn't just be 5 tribulation primordial spirits but at an even higher realm. He condenses a perfect golden core, and his fundamental cultivation method is entirely evolved and created by himself. Taoist skills can naturally be the same. He intends to extract the essence, discard the dregs from various cultivation technique inheritances, evolving the most suitable cultivation path for himself. With his superpower, he has this confidence. After playing with the miniature sword energy domain for a while, Lu Qing dispersed it. Then he prepared to leave the cave mansion and check outside. A few days ago, he noticed the disturbance caused by the 5 treasure Taoists outside. However, at that time, he was at a critical point of comprehending the 7-star sword formation, so he didn't pay attention to it. Now that his comprehension has concluded, he can go out and inquire if something has happened. Holding little Li, Lu Qing came to the place where the 5 treasure Taoists lived. Just as he was about to send a message and knock on the door, he suddenly sensed the 5 treasure Taoists' aura hurrying back from outside. He turned and looked outside, and at this moment the 5 treasure Taoists saw him too. His face immediately showed a joyful expression. "Mr. Chun, you've come out of seclusion." "Just came out. I was at a critical point in cultivation a few days ago, and I couldn't respond to the Taoist priest. Please forgive me," Lu Qing said, slightly apologetically. "No need for that. Cultivation is important. I was worried I might disturb you, Mr. Chun." The 5 treasure Taoist was relieved hearing that Lu Qing indeed reached a crucial point in cultivation that day. Fortunately, he didn't forcefully call Lu Qing on that day. Otherwise, things might have been spoiled. "Speaking of which, Taoist priest, what did you seek me for that day? It's a very important matter." As he said, the 5 treasure Taoists' expression suddenly turned grave. "Mr. Chun, do you know the secret realm nurtured by Tianshu Divine Mountain has come into existence?" "What? It's already come into existence?" This time, Lu Qing was truly astonished. "When did this happen? Wasn't it supposed to be at least half a month before the secret realm comes into existence?" "Just yesterday," the 5 treasure Taoist replied. "As for the reason, I'm not sure. A few days ago, a message came from the Divine Mountain saying that the secret realm, which was originally still nurturing, suddenly underwent an abnormal change. The internal fluctuations surged drastically, increasing tenfold. Rumors in the city claim the secret realm is soon going to emerge. I wanted to inform you of this that day. Yet seeing you in seclusion, I continued to scout for news in the city. Indeed, after the abnormal change occurred, within just a few days, the fluctuations within the secret realm kept strengthening. Finally, it was just yesterday that the secret realm truly came into existence. Now all major powers and many loose cultivators have gone to the Divine Mountain, entering the secret realm to vie for opportunities. I stayed in the city to wait for you. So it is." Upon hearing, Lu Qing was filled with remorse. "Sorry, Taoist priest. It's entirely my fault for being in seclusion at such a critical juncture, causing you to miss the opportunity to enter the secret realm." "You shouldn't say that," the 5 treasure Taoist hastily replied. "We agreed to enter the secret realm together. How could I go back on my word? Besides, entering the secret realm on the first day isn't necessarily a good thing. The struggle must be quite fierce. There might even be casualties. If we go in a bit later, we can avoid them. Though true, it's indeed my fault. Lu Qing understood, although what the 5 treasure Taoists said made sense. But everyone knows those who enter the secret realm first can certainly better obtain opportunities. Those who go in later might not even get to taste the soup. Taoist priest, time is of the essence. Let's head to the Divine Mountain now. Alright, it's already been a day. The secret realm's periphery shouldn't have too many cultivators now. We shouldn't encounter much danger entering now. The 5 treasure Taoists nodded. Immediately, the two turned into streaming light, flying towards Tianshu Divine Mountain. Along the way, Lu Qing also sensed the situation below in the city. He found that now, in Tianshu City, the auras of cultivators moving outside were few, quite opposite from the bustling scene a few days ago. It seemed that the city's cultivators had all rushed to the Divine Mountain, entering the secret realm to search for opportunities. Taoist priest, since the secret realm has been open for a day, has any news about the inside been transmitted? On the journey, Lu Qing communicated this to the 5 treasure Taoist. None whatsoever. The 5 treasure Taoist shook his head. Cultivators in the city who have any ability have already gone to the Divine Mountain. None have returned, and no news has come back. Lu Qing thought this logical. The secret realm nurtured by the Divine Mountain this time is so valued by the top sects that it must be extraordinarily remarkable within. Those able to enter such a secret realm to seek opportunities would hardly leave easily. The distance from Tianshu Divine Mountain to Tianshu City is not far. At their tunneling light speed, it wasn't long before they arrived at the foot of the Divine Mountain. Just as they approached the Divine Mountain, Lu Qing felt a faint intangible aura intruding into his body, descending into his Dan Tian Chi Si and forehead acupoint. Remarkably, his life-bound magical treasure and 5 elements treasure bead had no reaction, neither blocking this aura, allowing it to invade his body. This is the mountain's mountain chi. The 5 treasure Taoists, seeing Lu Qing's frowning expression, explained. It said this mountain chi is the essence originally derived from Tianshu Divine Mountain. Extremely mysterious. Spiritual artifacts and even primordial spirit great powers cannot prevent mountain chi from entering the body. As mountain chi accumulates in the body, the cultivator gradually shows signs of divine soul petrification and sluggish mana operation. At this point, the cultivator must leave the Divine Mountain. Otherwise, if mountain chi accumulates too much while remaining at the Divine Mountain, the cultivator may undergo petrification, becoming stone, thus part of the Divine Mountain. This mountain chi is extremely peculiar. It dissipates slowly as long as one leaves the range of the Divine Mountain. This is why the cities like Tianshu City sprung up at the foot of the Divine Mountain at the start. So it truly is mountain chi. Even spiritual artifacts cannot thwart it. Upon hearing this, Lu Qing shuddered inwardly. Also during the 5 treasure Taoists' explanation, they truly landed atop Tianshu Divine Mountain. That's it. Upon seeing the scene ahead, the two were simultaneously startled. A massive space vortex could be seen, as if embedded in the Divine Mountain, slowly rotating. The space vortex was extraordinarily vast, with powerful waves emanating from within, making humans seem as insignificant as ants before it. This should be the secret realm entrance that has just emerged. I didn't expect it to be so grand. Feeling the waves emitted by the space vortex, Lu Qing finally understood why those forces, upon discovering the secret realm during its development, did not seal the news. Because this kind of wave could not be concealed by mere human power. Even primordial spirit great powers appear insignificant before this powerful space wave, let alone hiding the waves of the Divine Mountain secret realm. Even the top primordial spirits probably couldn't do that. Lu Qing tried to activate his superpower and looked toward the space vortex. However, even after a while, no information floated from it. It's uncertain whether the time was too short or the level of the secret realm was too high, just like the Tianshu Divine Mountain itself, that with his current strength, he couldn't investigate the information within. As the two approached the vortex, they also saw many figures suspended in the air before the giant space vortex. Some were sitting on auspicious clouds, some riding flying boats and other magical treasures, and some standing on air. Some were in groups while others stood proudly alone. But without exception, these figures were all powerful and intimidating. They were all primordial spirit great powers. However, the waves of the space vortex were so vast that they made these figures seem somewhat inconspicuous. Feeling the strength of those figures, Lu Qing's and the others' flight speed suddenly slowed down. Taoist, do you think these great powers will prevent us from entering the secret realm? Lu Qing asked. Probably not, the 5 treasure Taoists said uncertainly. Based on the information I gathered from Tianshu City, the secret realm on the Tianshu Divine Mountain is open for every cultivator to enter. This has been an unwritten rule agreed upon by many forces over countless millennia. It's said to have started tens of thousands of years ago when some forces tried to monopolize the opportunities within the Divine Mountain. They jointly sealed off the Divine Mountain, not allowing other cultivators to explore it. This led to the dissatisfaction of many loose cultivators, eventually resulting in an extremely fierce battle. The battle was terribly brutal, with countless loose cultivators led by several primordial spirits, uniting to almost collapse those major forces. If the Holy Alliance hadn't intervened, those forces might have been destroyed entirely. Since then, no force has dared to brazenly seal off the Tianshu Divine Mountain. Loose cultivators can freely enter and exit the mountain, adventuring and cultivating, seeking opportunities. These great powers in front probably wouldn't easily violate this rule. Besides these primordial spirit great powers, there are no others around either. The loose cultivators from Tianshu City are nowhere to be seen. Presumably, they have already entered the secret realm to explore. I see. Lu Qing felt enlightened, thinking it made sense. If those forces didn't allow loose cultivators to enter the secret realm, the news of the Divine Mountain's secret realm's emergence would not have spread so turbulently, with countless loose cultivators flocking in. Let's approach a bit closer to see how these great powers react. The two slowly flew toward the space vortex, and as they got closer, they soon felt many powerful gazes falling upon them. The body of the 5 treasure Taoist stiffened, his expression becoming somewhat nervous. Although Lu Qing appeared calm on the surface, he too felt somewhat tense inside. He even secretly clenched a teleportation talisman, ready to escape at once if anything went wrong. Fortunately, those primordial spirit great powers saw that it was just 2 golden core initial stage cultivators and didn't pay much attention, their gazes withdrawing as they continued to look toward the space vortex. Seeing this, Lu Qing and the other finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then they showed respectful expressions, making a large circle as they slowly flew toward the space vortex. Seeing them being so cautious and careful, some primordial spirit great powers couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. Despite the laughter, no one stopped them from approaching the space vortex. Ultimately, as they watched the 2 figures disappear into the space vortex, some great powers shook their heads with a smile. 2 young ones, rushing over here upon getting the news from who knows where, now only going in, they probably won't find even a single spirit grass. Another great power snorted coldly. 2 foolish boys, daring to join in the fun at just the golden core initial stage. More likely than not, they're going to meet their end inside. You can't quite say that. Perhaps these 2 young ones have particularly good fortune and might gain good opportunities. You should know that the matter of fortune is mysterious. Even we cannot fully grasp it. Just like this Divine Mountain secret realm, though we have the strength, we cannot enter it, which means we lack the opportunity. How can we be compared to these small golden core cultivators? Kong Mingzi, you're belittling yourself too much. A group of primordial spirit great powers were bantering there, while Chen Lingxiao of the Chenkuan sect was thoughtfully gazing in the direction of the space vortex. Brother Ling Xiao, what are you looking at? Seeing him like this, Gong Shuzheng couldn't help but ask. I was wondering if those 2 just now were the ones Xiao Jing mentioned. Are you saying the cultivator who saved junior sister Xiao Jing and them from Li Motyin? Gong Shuzheng was slightly surprised. But didn't they say that after Li Motyin fell into the demon path, his strength reached the late-stage golden core? A cultivator capable of killing him must at least be at the late-stage Golden Core realm. But those two were merely at the Golden Core early stage. Perhaps they used some exotic treasure to hide their true cultivation level. Qian Lingxiao said casually, "Yesterday, junior sister Xiao Jing and junior sister Qiao Zhu waited for a long time, but the cultivator who saved them did not appear. Moreover, they mentioned that person recently traveled with a fat Taoist. Those two just now match what junior sister Xiao Jing described. That should be it." Gongshu Zheng nodded in agreement upon hearing this. Then he revealed an interesting expression. "To even deceive our senses, it seems that the treasure concealing this person's cultivation is extraordinary. Anyone with late-stage Golden Core cultivation would have some secrets. If Brother Zheng is interested, you might investigate when they come out." Qian Lingxiao said indifferently, "Brother Lingxiao, you speak well. This person has graced your Chenkuan sect with favor. I would not be discourteous." Gongshu Zheng smiled. "I won't hide it from Brother Zheng. I harbor doubts about this person's background. He rescued Xiao Jing, but the timing was too coincidental. Moreover, he is elusive about his origins, so I have to question his intentions. But as Brother Zheng said, he is now a benefactor of our Chenkuan sect, and I shouldn't offend him. If Brother Zheng would like to help and probe, it would naturally be best. A mere trifle. If those two can emerge from the secret realm alive, I will investigate for you." Gongshu Zheng didn't decline. He was quite intrigued by the treasure on the young lad earlier, which could escape his spiritual sense detection. Lu Qing was unaware that he did nothing yet caught the attention of two primordial spirit realm experts. At this moment, he and the 5 treasure Taoists had just passed through the space vortex and entered into the secret realm. Is this the inside of the secret realm? The two operated their heart and spirit, dispelling the slight discomfort from the teleportation, and began assessing their surroundings. Then they found themselves in a very vast space. At first glance, it seemed no different from the outside world. Flowers, trees, and mountains and grasslands, full of vitality. They were currently in a sparse woodland. But soon their expressions changed. "The spiritual energy is incredibly thin in this secret realm," the 5 treasure Taoists exclaimed. Lu Qing's expression also became stern. In his perception, the surrounding spiritual energy was exceedingly thin. It vaguely resembled the level of spiritual energy when the heaven and earth Tao sound first echoed in his homeland. But contrasted with that, the space's laws here were very stable, giving them a heavy sensation. Lu Qing gently swung his arm, slicing through the air, producing a heavy wind sound. He immediately confirmed it wasn't an illusion. The surrounding space was indeed much more sluggish and heavy than the exterior. As such, not only would their flying speed be greatly affected, but the mana consumption when using the escape light body technique would also greatly increase. This could be trouble. Lu Qing tried a bit, and couldn't help but say, "The spiritual energy in this secret realm is so sparse, and with the space being so stable, no matter if we are traveling or using Taoist skills, the mana consumption would be multiple times that of normal. This way, not only the power of Taoist skills diminishes greatly, the consumed mana would have to be replenished with spirit stones. When cultivators unleash their Taoist magic, besides activating their own mana, they often cause vibrations in the spiritual energy between heaven and earth, creating an immense momentum, greatly increasing its power. With the spiritual energy in this secret realm so sparse, and without the resonance with nature's spiritual energy, the mana consumption for Taoist skills would increase exponentially, and even its power would be severely weakened. Most importantly, they still hadn't figured out why this secret realm's environment was so strange. Strange. The new secret realm nurtured by the divine mountain this time is so odd, with such thin spiritual energy, which has never happened before. Beside him, the 5 treasure Taoists also found it exceedingly strange. Lu Qing's heart stirred and he asked, "Taoist, you say this never happened before?" "No." The 5 treasure Taoists shook his head. "In these days, I've collected plenty of information in the city about past secret realms nurtured by the divine mountain, but never has there been a case where the spiritual energy was so thin. Those secret realms from the Divine Mountain's history mostly had abundant spiritual energy. This made the secret realm full of treasures. Even pulling up a weed might be decent spirit grass in the outside world. But now look. The 5 treasure Taoist pulled a weed from the ground and felt it. This is the most ordinary weed, containing not a trace of spiritual charm, even worse than the weeds outside. Lu Qing looked at the weed and could sense it was just an exceedingly ordinary weed. Even using superpower to inspect, the result was the same. More than that, Lu Qing's face grew somber. Taoist, there's another matter you've overlooked. What? The 5 treasure Taoist was taken aback. Look behind you. The 5 treasure Taoist looked behind but saw nothing unusual. Everything was normal. Just as he was perplexed, Lu Qing uttered, "We came in through that space vortex? Where's the space vortex now?" Upon hearing this, the 5 treasure Taoist's body shook abruptly. Then Lu Qing's remaining words echoed in his ears. "Without the space vortex, how can we get out?" Indeed, the 5 treasure Taoist showed a trace of shock. "Without the space vortex, can we not go out? But why is this? According to the records left by Tianshu City, the entrance to the secret realm shouldn't disappear. There are just 2 explanations," Lu Qing calmly analyzed. "One is that when we entered, the space vortex randomly transported us to a location within the secret realm, not near the exit. The other is that the space vortex only serves as an entry, not an exit, and we must find another way out. But regardless of which, clearly we won't get the answers by staying here. Mr. Chun is right." As Lu Qing analyzed, the 5 treasure Taoist also gradually calmed. "No matter the reason, we must actively seek out the situation. Then let's first go to the sky to see what's happening," Lu Qing suggested. "That sounds good." So the 2 transformed into streams of light, flying towards the sky. But upon rising barely 100 feet, their expressions changed once more. For they realized, flying was indeed as anticipated, consuming much more mana than outside. But even more shocking was that the higher they flew, the space around became more heavy. Maintaining flight required exponentially increasing mana consumption. Merely ascending 100 feet consumed 10 times more mana than on the ground. At 1,000 feet, the mana consumed per breath was more than 100 times what it was on the ground. "This won't do. This secret realm seems to prohibit us from long-duration flying. We must descend." Lu Qing felt the mana within him being rapidly depleted like snow under the sun, and his face changed dramatically. Despite his perfect golden core having a deep foundation, with mana accumulation far stronger than the top-grade golden core, but if it keeps consuming like this, he wouldn't be able to sustain for long. At 1,000 feet, the mana consumed per breath was more than 100 times what it was on the ground. "This won't do. This secret realm seems to prohibit us from long-duration flying. We must descend." Lu Qing felt the mana within him being rapidly depleted like snow under the sun, and his face changed dramatically. Despite his perfect golden core having a deep foundation, with mana accumulation far stronger than the top-grade golden core, but if it keeps consuming like this, he wouldn't be able to sustain for long. "This secret realm greatly suppresses our flight capabilities. It seems it will be difficult to quickly traverse with tunneling light." Lu Qing's heart and spirit felt somewhat heavy. With his foundation and roots, flying in the sky was already taxing. Other cultivators entering the secret realm, even those at the late-stage golden core realm with an innate top-grade golden core, would likely find flight even more difficult than him. It seems this secret realm is unlike the large secret realms that appeared at the Divine Mountain before. No wonder it is so peculiar during this manifestation. The expression of the 5 treasure Taoists didn't look too good either. This signifies that most of the information he painstakingly collected in Tianshu City would likely be in vain. Why is this newly revealed secret realm so unique? And what exactly are the opportunities and treasures within it? The 5 treasure Taoist was utterly puzzled. After the news emerged of the Tianshu Divine Mountain nurturing a secret realm, why did so many cultivators flock there, including elite disciples from sect forces across several continents? Isn't it because, for tens of thousands of years, Each appearance of a secret realm from the Tianshu Divine Mountain has been accompanied by a wealth of opportunities and treasures. But this time they have entered the secret realm for some time, yet have not found any treasures so far. Even this secret realm appears barren, not seeming like a treasure land capable of nurturing numerous opportunities and treasures. And those cultivators who entered the secret realm earlier, where have they gone? Why has nobody been encountered? A multitude of doubts emerged in the 5 treasure Taoists' mind. Even you, Taoist, are unaware, so I am more in the dark. It seems we can only think of solutions as we go. Our current priority is to find a way out first. Lu Qing surveyed his surroundings, yet to see any other creatures in this forest. But he vaguely felt a sense of danger lurking in his heart. Not strong, yet always present. It indicates that this secret realm is not as peaceful as it appears on the surface. According to the information I collected before, there are 2 ways to exit the secret realm once inside. One is to return the way you came through the spatial vortex. The second method is the secret realm pearl within some powerful spiritual beasts in the secret realm. But, given the strange nature of this secret realm, it's uncertain whether this second path remains viable now. The 5 treasure Taoist confessed uncertainly. Whatever the case, we must give it a try to find out, said Lu Qing. Aren't you adept at divination, Taoist? Why not perform a divination now to see which direction we should take? Divination, that is an option, the 5 treasure Taoist remarked, his expression changing. Although the heaven and earth rules of this secret realm differ from the outside world, if it's just to ask about fortune or misfortune, there shouldn't be any major problems. Mr. Chun, please act as my protector. The 5 treasure Taoist, being a decisive person, immediately sat cross-legged on the spot. He then retrieved an ancient, black tortoiseshell from his waist, placed several copper coins inside, and blew a breath of primordial qi upon the tortoiseshell. With the spell in motion, the black tortoiseshell floated in the air, emanating brilliant light, spinning rapidly. After over 10 breaths, the black tortoiseshell suddenly flipped over, ejecting the copper coins which fell to the ground. The 5 treasure Taoist put away the tortoiseshell and attentively observed the copper coins. Then his expression subtly changed. Taoist, what is the result? Lu Qing asked upon seeing this. The divination shows that among the 8 directions, 3 are slightly auspicious, 4 are slightly inauspicious, and 1 indicates a great threat. A great threat. Correct. It's directly north. The divination indicates something extremely terrifying there. Exceedingly dangerous. The 5 treasure Taoist declared solemnly. In that case, let's head towards the slightly auspicious directions first. Lu Qing pondered this and suggested, though he had enough confidence in his own strength. A wise man does not place himself beneath a wobbly wall, and this secret realm emanates strangeness everywhere, clearly not an ordinary one. Before understanding the true nature of this secret realm, he wasn't inclined to take risks. Should the secret realm's danger level prove exceedingly high, even slightly inauspicious could pose great peril to a golden core realm. Then why don't we head southeast? But Mr. Chun, I must clarify something in advance. The future is unknown, and divination is not always precise. Even a great fortune omen does not guarantee a smooth journey. This is something you must be mentally prepared for. I am naturally aware, Taoist. Rest assured that I will remain cautious and vigilant. Lu Qing nodded earnestly. He certainly didn't believe that divining the information would be absolutely accurate. If that were really the case, the path of divination would be the strongest of roads. This secret realm exudes unusual vibes. Even his superpower was of no use for the time being, so how could he possibly let down his guard? After discussing, the 2 immediately set off, transformed into streams of light, heading southeast. This time, they learned from experience and no longer flew to high altitudes. Instead, they ascended just a few dozen feet, almost skimming the treetops. This way, though the energy consumption was not small, it was at least within their tolerable range. Just like this, the 2 flew for dozens of miles, before them still the endless forest sea, estimating just how much longer it would take to leave this forest sea. Suddenly, Lu Qing sensed a warning and looked down. only to see a black light rapidly attacking the two of them. "Be careful," Lu Qing warned, and at the same time, with a thought, a sword chi had already slashed at that black light. Boom! The sword chi accurately struck the black shadow, and a powerful, strong energy erupted, stirring up waves of air. The black shadow was immediately repelled, continuously tumbling downward, falling back into the forest. Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. He felt that his sword chi seemed to have struck an extremely hard object, shattering without actually cutting through it. What is that? The sudden attack scared Five Treasure Taoist. He hadn't sensed the danger beforehand. Not sure. Seems to be some kind of creature. Lu Qing looked towards the forest sea below, his expression serious. He found that after the thing fell into the forest, his spiritual sense could no longer detect its trace. Ah Qing at the lower left. At this moment, Little Li's divine soul transmission suddenly rang in Lu Qing's mind. Lu Qing immediately looked towards the lower left of the forest, and sure enough, saw a flicker of a black shadow. His gaze focused, and mana surged out from within him. A glazed palm, several tens of feet wide and shimmering with colorful brilliant light, was condensed by him and slapped down. Crash! The power of this palm was extremely fierce. The mountains and forests below, within a surrounding radius of several tens of feet, were instantly shattered, and the overwhelming power caused a large portion of the forest sea to undulate like waves. Seeing the terrifying scene he had caused, Lu Qing's expression remained unchanged. He tightly watched below, and sure enough, among the scattered debris of trees, a black shadow was fleeing frantically. However, no matter how it fled, it could not escape the range covered by the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm. With a thought, Lu Qing suddenly clenched the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm, and the strong sealing power immediately suppressed the black shadow till it was immobilized, pinched in his palm. Then the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm rapidly shrank, constantly rising, and by the time it returned before Lu Qing, it had become only half human size. Five Treasure Taoist blankly watched this scene before him, especially the clear handprint impressed upon the forest sea below, feeling very astonished. This was the first time Lu Qing had displayed an offensive Taoist skill before him. But the power of its might was so strong that it filled him with great shock. All along, Five Treasure Taoist knew that Lu Qing's strength was not as simple as it appeared on the surface. Otherwise, the few inner sect true disciples of Chenkuan sect would not be so respectful to Lu Qing. Even in his estimation, Lu Qing was likely a strong practitioner who had already stepped into the late-stage Golden Core. And now, Lu Qing's action this time confirmed his suspicions. The power of this palm could not possibly be initiated by one at the Golden Core Middle Realm. Lu Qing paid no attention to Five Treasure Taoist's expression as he observed the thing he had just captured. Mr. Chun, what is this thing? At this time, Five Treasure Taoist came back to his senses, also looking at the black shadow suppressed within the 5 elements 10,000 skill palm. Upon closer inspection, they finally discovered that it was actually a creature with scale armor, wings, for claws, and a long tail, resembling a mouse in appearance. What is this monster? Seeing clearly the appearance of the black shadow, Five Treasure Taoist was extremely surprised. This type of creature he had never heard of before. Not sure. Lu Qing shook his head. This little thing's physical body is very tough. Even my sword chi struggled to cut it, and it seems to be naturally adept at concealing its presence, clearly not an ordinary creature. Remembering this point, Lu Qing still felt somewhat shocked. His current strength was incredibly formidable. Even without using full strength, the sword chi he executed was not something an ordinary Golden Core Realm cultivator could withstand. Even a cultivator of the Golden Core Middle Realm, if struck by his sword chi, would either die or be seriously injured. But this creature being suppressed here didn't show a strong aura, merely at the Foundation Establishment realm. Despite taking a solid hit from his sword chi, it had only a part of its scale armor sliced off. A mere Foundation Establishment realm creature having such a strong physical body is indeed unbelievable. More critically, he did not feel any presence of spiritual power inside this strange creature. The opposite seemed to be powerful purely in terms of the physical body, without any other power. Though the black creature was suppressed, its eyes still radiated a fierce light, staring fixedly at Lu Qing and 5 treasure Taoists. It seemed to bear some deep grudge against the two of them. Seeing this, Lu Qing slightly moved his mind, quietly activated the superpower and observed it. Why did he uncharacteristically expose part of his strength to capture this strange creature? It was naturally to use the superpower to investigate its origins to see if he could extract any information about this secret realm. As Lu Qing probed, after a while, a faint golden superpower light emerged from the strange creature's body, and several lines of information floated out. Xianlin Black Mouse, a powerful creature from the Tianshu Divine Mountain Trial Secret Realm. Cultivation. Foundation Establishment Realm Perfection. Xianlin Black Mouse's bloodline is peculiar, and its physical body is strong, with scale armor that is incredibly tough, hard to be harmed by a magical treasure. This creature has simple spiritual wisdom and, for some reason, holds a very strong hostility towards all creatures outside the Trial Secret Realm. The creatures within Tianshu Divine Mountain Trial Secret Realm all contain mysterious bloodlines. After refining and absorbing them, one can markedly enhance the physical body strength. Xianlin Black Mouse, Trial Secret Realm? When Lu Qing finished reading those lines of information, his heart skipped a beat. From these lines, he obtained quite crucial information. Firstly, this secret realm did not appear to be the legendary blessed secret realm enriched with innumerable opportunities and treasures, but rather a trial secret realm evolved for some purpose. As for what trial, it was unknown. But clearly, from this point, it seemed that Tianshu Divine Mountain, as many cultivators had speculated, was likely not naturally formed, but was created by some super force or mysterious existence in the ancient era countless millennia ago. It was unclear why this trial secret realm suddenly appeared, and what the so-called trial referred to. Mr. Chen, can you discern the origin of this thing? 5 treasure Taoists saw Lu Qing staring at the strange creature and couldn't help but ask. I can't tell. Lu Qing shook his head. However, the monster's strength should not be underestimated, though the aura it reveals is only at the foundation establishment level. But its physical body is strong, its claws and teeth are sharp, and it moves extremely fast, able to hide its presence. In this strange secret realm, even for a Golden Core realm cultivator, carelessness and an attack by it could lead to a regrettable end. You're right, in this secret realm, spiritual energy is extraordinarily thin, and the space is heavy, limiting our spiritual sense to a significant extent. If one is unaware of the creature beforehand and is suddenly attacked, it could indeed take one by complete surprise. 5 treasure Taoists recalled the scene when the creature suddenly rushed out from the forest sea below and nodded in deep agreement. If not for Lu Qing's presence, he might have been gravely injured if not dead alone at that time. This secret realm is getting stranger and stranger. This kind of creature has never appeared in previous secret realms. If one is unaware of the creature beforehand and is suddenly attacked, it could indeed take one by complete surprise. 5 treasure Taoists recalled the scene when the creature suddenly rushed out from the forest sea below and nodded in deep agreement. If not for Lu Qing's presence, he might have been gravely injured if not dead alone at that time. This secret realm is getting stranger and stranger. This kind of creature has never appeared in previous secret realms. If not for Lu Qing's presence, he might have been gravely injured if not dead alone at that time. This secret realm is getting stranger and stranger. This kind of creature has never appeared in previous secret realms. After Lu Qing crushed the Xianlin Black Mouse, he gathered its corpse. The 5 treasure Taoists saw this but said nothing. This was originally Lu Qing's hard-earned victory. If not for Lu Qing's quick reaction earlier, he might have been ambushed and injured by this creature. The two continued their journey, but this time, they were much more cautious. Not only did they raise their flying altitude again, but they also paid more attention to the movements in the forest sea below. The 5 treasure Taoists even, disregarding the consumption, activated a protective treasure around himself to ensure he wouldn't be caught off guard by an attack again. Lu Qing flew along, splitting a trace of his heart and spirit to enter the leaving fire tripod. He didn't store the Shenlin Black Mouse's corpse in the Chenkuan Qi bag, but rather in the leaving fire tripod. He remembered the information on the note he had examined earlier about the bloodline description of the Shenlin Black Mouse. The creatures in this trial's secret realm contain unique bloodlines. Lu Qing recalled the contents of the note as he looked at the Shenlin Black Mouse's corpse before him. "Master, what is this?" At this moment, Yan sensed Lu Qing's aura and manifested a form, also looking at the Shenlin Black Mouse's corpse with a hint of curiosity in its eyes. Lately, it had been following Lu Qing's instructions, refining the sword embryo in the depths of the leaving fire tripod, not paying attention to the outside world. "This is a strange beast I slew in the Divine Mountain secret realm. Its bloodline seems unusual. Yan, how is the refining of those flying sword embryos going?" "They are almost fully refined. A few more days of nurturing, and they can enter the next stage of refinement." "Perfect timing. I'm currently on a journey in the secret realm and can't afford to divert my attention. Could you help extract the bloodline from this beast?" "Sure. Leave it to me." Yen immediately agreed. Since seeing the void-flying boat become a high-grade spirit artifact, it felt a sense of urgency. Because the leaving fire tripod is no longer the most powerful spiritual artifact in Lu Qing's hand, Yen wanted to prove its value, so it had to work harder to assist Lu Qing. Immediately, Lu Qing handed over the Shenlin Black Mouse's corpse to Yen for refinement, while he focused on their journey. The forest sea they were in was unexpectedly vast. They had been flying for an hour and still hadn't reached its edge. During this time, they encountered several more attacks from Shenlin Black Mice, suggesting this forest sea was the habitat of these beasts. The ones attacking them were also Shenlin Black Mice at the Foundation Establishment realm. With precaution, these small creatures posed no real threat. All were captured and slain by Lu Qing, then thrown into the leaving fire tripod for Yen to handle. He didn't even need to use the mighty Taoist skill like the 5 Elements 10,000 skill palm. He easily suppressed and resolved them with his control of the primordial magnetic power. Thus, another 24 minutes passed, yet the two still hadn't flown out of the forest sea's bounds. But the 5 treasure Taoist was beginning to falter. "Mr. Chun, this aerial flight is exhausting too much mana. Why don't we find a place to rest for a bit?" The 5 treasure Taoist suggested somewhat embarrassingly. He had to fly continuously while maintaining the protective treasure around him. In the heavenly origin great world, this wouldn't have been a problem. With his golden core, he could have quickly replenished this level of consumption. However, in this secret realm, the spiritual energy was so scarce, almost non-existent. Coupled with the stagnant spatial rules, any Taoist skill used consumed far more mana than usual. So right now, although his mana wasn't entirely depleted, more than half had been consumed. "All right, let's go down." Lu Qing had no objections. He was aware that, due to his deep foundation, such consumption was nothing to him. But for other Golden Core realm practitioners, it wasn't so easily bearable. Just at this moment, Yan also transmitted to him, saying it had extracted the bloodline from the Shenlin Black Mouse. He could take this chance to research what was so unique about the bloodline. The two quickly descended into the forest sea below, finding a spot where the trees were relatively sparse, landing on the ground. "Taoist, you rest and recover. I'll act as your protector," Lu Qing said. "Thank you, Mr. Chun." The 5 treasure Taoist expressed sincere gratitude. Seeing Lu Qing looking composed, he knew the other wasn't being polite. The flight hadn't significantly affected him, so there was no need for him to regulate his breath. Therefore, he didn't hesitate. Taking out a middle-grade spirit stone, sat down, and began absorbing the spiritual charm within for recovery. Lu Qing, not idling, casually embedded a few talismans into the surrounding ground, setting up a simple defense talisman array. Of course, though simple, with the array set by Lu Qing's talismans, even a strong Golden Core early-stage practitioner couldn't break it easily. After setting up the array, he had literally helped keep watch, and then Lu Qing separated a trace of his heart and spirit, entering the leaving fire tripod. "Master!" Yen immediately came forth to greet him. "You said you extracted the bloodline from that beast?" Lu Qing straightforwardly asked. "Yes, master. I have extracted the bloodline of the first mutant beast you sent in." Yan's eyes held a trace of peculiarity. "Master, the bloodline of that mutant beast is very unique. I've never seen one like it. Its specifics need to be identified by you, the master." Yen waved its hand, and a wisp of bloodline, enveloped by spatial power, appeared before Lu Qing. Lu Qing focused his mind and looked intently, only to see that wisp of bloodline, as dazzling as a blood diamond. Though it was very fine, it carried an inexplicable aura that even caused the spatial power surrounding it to tremble slightly. It was very apparent that the rank of this bloodline was exceedingly high, capable of even affecting the surrounding space rules. More importantly, Lu Qing felt a desire welling up inside him for this bloodline. His intuition told him that as long as he could devour and refine this bloodline, his body would obtain significant benefits. Lu Qing was secretly shocked, knowing that even when he faced the true blood refined from the old dragon turtle, he hadn't felt such a desire. Yet this unknown wisp of bloodline in front of him gave him an unprecedented feeling. However, Lu Qing did not rush and instead activated his superpower, focusing his gaze. After a while, a dense purple superpower light emerged, and several strands of floating information appeared. Purple light. Lu Qing's heart trembled, and a strange light shone in his eyes. Previously, from the corpse of that Xianlin black mouse, only a golden superpower light had emerged. But the bloodline extracted from within it presented such a dense purple glow, which truly surprised him. He immediately began to read those strands of information. Witch's primordial blood. A powerful bloodline containing the power of origin. This bloodline originated from a certain ancient ancestor with a very high rank. Refining this bloodline into the body can greatly enhance the strength of the physical body. The more bloodlines are refined, the stronger the body becomes. There are risks in devouring and refining the witch's primordial blood. It contains evil qi that can affect one's sanity. If too much is refined and one cannot withstand the evil qi's erosion of the divine soul, one will lose oneself, becoming controlled by the bloodline. Witch's primordial blood? Ancient ancestor witch? After reading the strands of information, Lu Qing was greatly astonished. The word "witch" reminded him of certain legends from his previous life. He just wasn't sure if the witches mentioned on the strands were the ones he knew about. Refining this witch's primordial blood could greatly enhance the physical body. That Xianlin black mouse's body was probably so strong because of the witch's primordial blood. However, this primordial blood affects one's sanity, which explains why that Xianlin black mouse was so savage and couldn't be communicated with. From the strands of information, Lu Qing learned a lot, and his heart became somewhat hesitant. This witch's primordial blood is clearly a significant opportunity, but the risk of refining it is also quite high. The evil qi within can erode the divine soul, and if one can't withstand it, they would lose themselves and become a puppet to the bloodline. However, with just this wisp of bloodline, there shouldn't be a big problem. Lu Qing felt an instinctive craving for the primordial blood and thought to himself. He had some confidence in his own heart and spirit, not to mention his perfect golden core, which already greatly enhances the divine soul. Moreover, the divine soul talisman he condensed is equally miraculous. In addition, the 5 elements treasure bead has been constantly nourishing his divine soul, making his divine soul power unknowingly reach an extremely astonishing level. He dared not claim to be comparable to primordial spirit great power, but within the golden core realm, it would be difficult to find someone stronger than him. In this case, refining just one wisp of witch's primordial blood shouldn't be a big problem. With this thought, Lu Qing had already made his decision in his heart. Immediately, he said to Yen, "Senior, I'll take this wisp of bloodline first, and for the remaining carcasses of the beasts, please extract the bloodlines from them. I have further use for them." "That's not a problem at all." Yen readily agreed. Could see that Lu Qing seemed to know something about the origins of this mysterious bloodline. However, since the master didn't take the initiative to say anything, it tactfully didn't ask further. After all, if Lu Qing wanted to talk about it, he would naturally tell it. Lu Qing put the bloodline into a jade bottle and took it out of the leaving fire tripod. At this moment, the 5 treasure Taoists had not yet finished regulating breath, and Lu Qing, seeing his aura, knew it would take some time for him to fully recover. He thought for a moment and then inserted more than a dozen talismans into the ground around the area, expanding the previously arranged simple array into a complete big array. In this way, even a late-stage Golden Core expert would find it hard to break through this array in just a few moves. Little Li, help me guard. I have some things to do, Lu Qing instructed after Little Li nodded. He also sat down cross-legged, regulated his breath a little, and opened the jade bottle to take out that wisp of bloodline and swallowed it. As soon as the wisp of witch's primordial blood appeared, Little Li's eyes suddenly widened. However, before it could see clearly what it was, Lu Qing had already swallowed it, leaving only a lingering desire and palpitation in its heart. Boom! When Lu Qing swallowed that wisp of witch's bloodline, he immediately felt his body react, greedily devouring that wisp of bloodline and thoroughly absorbing it. As that wisp of bloodline was completely refined by him, his physical body became noticeably stronger. It really works. Lu Qing felt a surge of delight. He knew that ever since he had refined the perfect golden core, the strength of his physical body had already surpassed the imagination of other golden core realm cultivators. Even cultivators who walked the path of body cultivation might not be as strong as him in the same realm. Moreover, his perfect golden core, being ever-changing, intangible, and formless, can disperse the magic power golden core into his physical body, transforming into a true body cultivator. The strength of his physical body could be imagined. Even those golden core level elixirs that enhanced the physical body were useless to him. Yet this wisp of witch's primordial blood could still enhance his physical body slightly. Its formidable effect was truly astounding. However, what surprised him was that he did not feel the so-called evil qi mentioned in the information strands. To be precise, he felt a breeze trying to invade his forehead acupoint earlier. But after stepping into the golden core realm, his forehead acupoint was already extremely solid. Added to the constant guarding of the 5 elements treasure bead and divine soul talisman over his divine soul, that breeze could not even enter his forehead acupoint for half a step, and it was completely crushed, making Lu Qing almost feel nothing. Could that be the evil qi mentioned in the information strands? Lu Qing speculated with some uncertainty. If that was indeed the case, then this so-called evil qi was far too weak, far below his expectations. It seems I need to experiment a few more times to be sure. If that breeze was indeed the evil qi, it would undoubtedly be great news for Lu Qing. This indicated that the limit of his ability to devour the witch's primordial blood was extremely high. Perhaps he could use it to push the strength of his physical body to a new level. This must be one of the opportunities in this trial's secret realm, Lu Qing thought, a flash of understanding in his eyes. But all of this would have to wait until he refined more witch's primordial blood to be sure. Next, he just needed to wait for Yen to extract the bloodlines from the remaining giant Shenlin black mouse carcasses, and he would know. Ah Qing, what did you just eat? Seeing Lu Qing open his eyes, Little Li immediately rushed over, his eyes shimmering brightly. Oh, you sensed it too? Lu Qing raised an eyebrow. Yes. Little Li nodded vigorously. I felt it was something extraordinary, something very beneficial for me. It seems that the witch's primordial blood equally possesses great attraction to spiritual beasts like Little Li. Lu Qing immediately understood. But that made sense since it was originally extracted from a mutant beast like the Shenlin black mouse. It naturally works on spiritual beasts and demon beasts as well. It was a peculiar bloodline extracted from that black beast before. It seems that the witch's primordial blood equally possesses great attraction to spiritual beasts like Little Li. Lu Qing immediately understood. But that made sense since it was originally extracted from a mutant beast like the Shenlin black mouse. It naturally works on spiritual beasts and demon beasts as well. It was a peculiar bloodline extracted from that black beast before. Lu Qing was quite delighted inside. What exactly this secret realm was trialing was still unclear to him. But without a doubt, this witch's primordial blood was definitely a great opportunity. Just a trace of the primordial blood could further strengthen his already extremely formidable physical body a little bit. If he could obtain enough witch's primordial blood, perhaps he could push the strength of his physical body to a new extreme. Ah Qing, this bloodline is so magical. Does that mean I can also refine it? Little Li asked expectantly. You probably can, Lu Qing pondered for a moment and said. However, this bloodline contains evil qi. Refining too much at once carries the risk of the evil qi eroding the divine soul, so you still need to be cautious. Little Li, who had also survived the 9 tribulation thunders of the innate top-grade golden core, had a very strong divine soul, and ordinary evil qi couldn't harm him. Refining some witch's primordial blood should not be a problem. No worries with you around, Ah Qing, there surely won't be any problems, Little Li said confidently. Lu Qing smiled and then said, but in that case we don't have to rush to leave this forest sea. Little Li was initially taken aback, then realized, Ah Qing, are you saying we should catch more of those black mice? Lu Qing nodded. Exactly. The black mice in this forest sea all contain that peculiar bloodline within them, and they aren't hard to deal with. We can capture more to extract their bloodline. Previously, those that attacked Lu Qing and company were merely Foundation Establishment Realm Shenlin black mice. Thus, he surmised that the vast majority of Shenlin black mice in this forest sea were merely at the Foundation Establishment Realm. Since the situation outside was still unclear, it was better to seize the opportunity at hand. Great! Those black mice can't hide from my senses. We can just round them all up, Little Li exclaimed excitedly. Then I'll leave the task of tracking them to you, Lu Qing said with a smile. These Shenlin black mice had a peculiar ability to conceal their aura, making them hard to detect, even for him. Yet Little Li seemed to be their natural enemy, able to easily find them. No problem, leave it to me, Little Li immediately said, standing tall. While they were chatting, on the other side, the 5 treasure Taoists' regulating breath had reached its final stage, and he slowly opened his eyes. Then he saw Lu Qing playing with Little Li. Thank Mr. Chun for protecting me. 5 treasure Taoist expressed his gratitude instantly. No problem. There wasn't any danger anyway. Lu Qing laughed, then said, by the way, Taoist, there's something I need to discuss with you. What is it? 5 treasure Taoist asked. While you were regulating your breath to recover, I studied the previous black mutant beast and made a discovery. Oh, what did Mr. Chun discover? 5 treasure Taoist's eyes lit up slightly. Remembering the peculiarity of the black mutant beast earlier, could it be that Lu Qing had discovered something mysterious? I discovered a peculiar bloodline inside that black mutant beast, and absorbing and refining it has considerable benefits for us, enhancing the strength of our physical bodies, and it should be one of the opportunities within this secret realm. Lu Qing didn't hide this but directly shared his discovery. After all, in the time to come, he planned to sweep this forest sea, and it would be hard to keep such matters from the 5 treasure Taoist. Since they were companions, it was better to be transparent. The black mutant beast actually had such a mystery within it? 5 treasure Taoist was surprised. That's right, so next, I would like to search for more of those black mutant beasts in this forest sea. I'm afraid we can't proceed any further on our journey. Of course, we won't proceed, 5 treasure Taoist replied promptly. Having finally discovered an opportunity, proceeding on the journey now would mean coming in vain. Since that's the case, let's first secure the opportunities in this forest sea. Taoist, your divination was indeed accurate. Going this way was indeed a good omen. It's Mr. Chen's prosperous fortune, 5 treasure Taoist complimented. At the same time, he felt even more fortunate to have entered the secret realm alongside Lu Qing this time. Otherwise, he would never have been able to discover the opportunity within the black mutant beast. With the decision made, Lu Qing and his companions immediately sprang into action. Lu Qing first collected the talismans on the ground, which surprised the 5 treasure Taoist once again. because he hadn't sensed the presence of a talisman array around at all. This indicated that Lu Qing's attainment in array formation was very high, as the arrays he set up had perfectly blended with the surrounding auras, making them indistinguishable. For a moment, Lu Qing's mysteriousness in 5 treasure Taoists' eyes increased further. After collecting the talismans, Lu Qing led Little Li and the 5 treasure Taoists to search for traces of the Shenlin black mice. This time, they didn't fly up into the air but traversed the forest directly. With feet on the ground, Lu Qing's eyes gently flashed with a yellow light. The earth vein magnetic force around him immediately came under his control. This was the ability of the Earth Spirit Pearl from the 5 treasure beads. As long as his feet touched the ground, he could easily grasp the earth vein magnetic force within a few miles. He could even sense the presence of living creatures around through the earth vein magnetic force. However, the Shenlin black mice seemed to have some innate ability to perfectly conceal their own aura. Even the earth vein magnetic force found it hard to detect. So the task of searching for Shenlin black mice mainly fell on Little Li. Its strange sensing ability makes it more convenient than Lu Qing to find the Shenlin black mouse. Sure enough, Little Li soon made a discovery. Ah Qing, there's a black mouse underground 100 feet to the right front. Upon hearing this, Lu Qing's thoughts moved slightly, and a strand of earth vein magnetic force probed toward the location Little Li mentioned. Indeed, 100 feet to the right, 1 foot underground, he detected a wisp of aura. This aura was almost completely integrated with its surroundings. If Little Li hadn't pointed it out, even he might not have discovered it. However, since it had been discovered, everything became easier. Lu Qing lightly stepped with his foot, and the strand of earth vein magnetic force suddenly intensified, instantly binding the Shenlin black mouse. Bang! The Shenlin black mouse that was lurking underground was startled and, with its low spiritual wisdom, had no idea what had happened, only struggling violently out of instinct. The burst of powerful force caused the ground to tremble and roll. However, despite the Shenlin black mouse's robust physical body, with a power comparable to the Golden Core realm, Lu Qing had already fully figured it out, so naturally, he had ways to deal with it. Immediately, the earth vein magnetic force under his control, like spider silk, tightly entangled it. No matter how much the Shenlin black mouse tried to exert its power, it remained helpless against the extremely flexible and formless earth vein magnetic force, unable to break free. What's happening? The sudden tremor immediately startled the 5 treasure Taoist. It's nothing. Little Li discovered a black mutant beast, and I've already captured it. Let's go over and take a look. Already captured one? The 5 treasure Taoist was even more surprised. Because he hadn't sensed anything just now. How did they suddenly capture one? In a bewilderment, the 5 treasure Taoist followed Lu Qing to the spot where the commotion arose earlier. And then he saw a black mutant beast similar to what he'd seen before, wrapped in a mass of yellow light. No matter how it struggled, it couldn't escape the spider silk-like binding of the yellow light. Is this earth vein magnetic force? The 5 treasure Taoist immediately recognized the spider silk-like yellow light binding the Shenlin black mouse. Only then did he understand that Lu Qing had trapped the Shenlin black mouse with the earth vein magnetic force. No wonder there was such a big commotion. But with this, his heart became even more shocked. Earth vein magnetic force is usually only mastered by cultivators who specialize in earth element Taoist skills. And Lu Qing could wield such a powerful earth vein magnetic force and control it so exquisitely, managing to confine the physically strong Shenlin black mouse from 100 feet away. His attainment in earth element Taoist skills must be extremely profound. But earlier, he clearly heard from Yi Chaozhu of the Chenkuan sect and the others, saying that Lu Qing seemed very adept in the way of the sword. Recalling earlier when Lu Qing set up an array quietly while he was regulating his breath, the 5 treasure Taoist felt that the more he got in touch with Lu Qing, the more mystifying he found him. Mr. Chun, how did you discover this black mutant beast from so far away? The 5 treasure Taoist couldn't help but ask. The Shenlin black mouse's aura concealing ability was extremely strong. Even if it were right in front of someone, an average Golden Core realm cultivator might not be able to detect it. Yet, From 100 feet away, Lu Qing still managed to discover and capture it, which was truly unbelievable. This isn't my doing. It's Little Li who discovered it. Lu Qing rubbed his head. Little Li discovered it? The 5 treasure Taoists' gaze fell on Little Li. Yes, Little Li's spiritual sense is naturally quite keen, allowing it to easily find the traces of these black mutant beasts. Lu Qing explained. Feeling the 5 treasure Taoists' gaze, Little Li glanced at him sideways, then slightly lifted its head with a proud look, leaving the 5 treasure Taoist not knowing what to say. He suddenly remembered the terrifying aura Little Li briefly revealed back at Observation Peak. Indeed, Mr. Chen's spiritual beast is far from being as simple as it appears. Taoist, let's move on. While the 5 treasure Taoist was in shock, Lu Qing casually secured the Xianlin Black Mouse's corpse and continued holding Little Li, moving forward, leaving the 5 treasure Taoist, still somewhat bewildered, standing there. He suddenly noticed a problem, which was, given the current situation, he seemed unable to provide any help. If things continued like this, what face would he have to claim this opportunity later? Taoist. After Lu Qing had walked dozens of feet ahead, he noticed the 5 treasure Taoist hadn't caught up, so he looked back in confusion. Apologies. The 5 treasure Taoist snapped back to reality and caught up, feeling a bit embarrassed. At the same time, he made a firm resolution internally to prove his worth in the upcoming time. Otherwise, even if Lu Qing would share the opportunity with him, he would be too embarrassed to accept it. Seems using some cards in my sleeve is the only option. The 5 treasure Taoist touched the gourd at his waist. In the following time, Lu Qing and his companions continued to shuttle through the forest sea. Under Little Li's guidance, they found and slashed one Xianlin Black Mouse after another, and the 5 treasure Taoist discovered, as he had predicted, there truly was no way for him to help during the whole process. As soon as Little Li located the Xianlin Black Mouse's trace, Lu Qing would usually activate the Earth Vein magnetic force, trapping it instantly, giving the 5 treasure Taoist no chance to intervene. However, by this time, the 5 treasure Taoist had made other decisions, so he didn't continue to be distressed, instead clenching the gourd at his waist, with a somewhat solemn expression, as if preparing for something. Thus, with Little Li's assistance, Lu Qing searched a large area of the forest sea, capturing and slashing more than 20 Xianlin black mice in one go. These Xianlin black mice seemed to have solitary habits, as they found only one in each area, never encountering 2 together. More strangely, this forest sea seemed to harbor only the Xianlin Black Mouse, as Lu Qing and his companions found no other beasts. Taoist, let's take a break for now. Besides, we've slain quite a few of these black mutant beasts. Let's handle them first. After another Xianlin Black Mouse was slain, Lu Qing suddenly suggested, I'll follow your lead, Taoist. The 5 treasure Taoist naturally didn't object. On the contrary, he was even looking forward to it. After all, he had yet to truly witness the miraculous effect of the bloodline within the black mutant beasts. Without delay, Lu Qing found a decent spot and set up another talisman array. This time, the 5 treasure Taoist watched Lu Qing set up the array. Once the array was ready, he sensed seriously again, finally feeling the faint flow of the array power. He was more amazed at Lu Qing's attainment in arrays. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he really couldn't believe that a powerful talisman array existed around them. The way Lu Qing set the array had likely reached the realm of a master. After completing the talisman array, Lu Qing took out the corpses of the Xianlin black mice he had slain before, piling them up into a small hill on the ground. Although each Xianlin black mouse was only a few feet in size, Lu Qing had slain quite a few this time, totaling dozens. Taoist, I'm planning to extract the bloodline from these black mutant beasts. Do you have any good extraction methods? Lu Qing asked. I have a top-grade treasure, the alchemy gourd, which should help with extracting some of it, said the 5 treasure Taoist. Then I'll trouble you, Taoist, to extract from these black mutant beasts. Lu Qing waved his hand, and about a quarter of the Xianlin black mice corpses, swept by mana, landed in front of the 5 treasure Taoist. It's just a small task, The five treasure Taoist nodded immediately. Inside, he let out a sigh of relief. With this, he could finally prove himself useful. Lu Qing waved his hand lightly, and about a dozen of the slain Shenlin black mice landed before the five treasure Taoist. My apologies. The five treasure Taoist snapped back to attention, face flushed, and followed along. Meanwhile, in his heart, he resolved to show his true worth in the following time. Otherwise, even if Lu Qing shared the opportunity with him, he wouldn't have the face to accept it. Looks like I'll have to use some of my trump cards. The five treasure Taoist patted a gourd at his waist. In the following time, Lu Qing and the others continued to traverse the forest sea, tracking down and slaying Shenlin black mice one by one, with little Li as their guide. And the five treasure Taoist found, just as he had anticipated, that he indeed was of no help throughout the entire process. Whenever little Li detected a trace of a Shenlin black mouse, Lu Qing would immediately activate the earth vein magnetic force to trap it, leaving him with no chance to take action. However, by now, the five treasure Taoist had made another decision. So he didn't continue to fret but instead held the gourd at his waist, his expression somewhat serious, as if preparing for something. Seeing that the five treasure Taoist had already begun to refine the bloodline there, Lu Qing smiled faintly. Immediately, he also summoned the leaving fire tripod and deposited the remaining Shenlin black mice within. However, he did not display the spiritual power of the leaving fire tripod, merely using the Nanming leaving fire within to refine the bloodline of the Shenlin black mice. Both were diligently refining the bloodlines, although the Shenlin black mice that Lu Qing needed to refine were several times more than those of the five treasure Taoist. Yet his cultivation was not something the five treasure Taoist could match, and he was using the leaving fire tripod, a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Therefore, it wasn't long before he extracted all the bloodlines ahead of the five treasure Taoist. After another 3/4 of an hour, the five treasure Taoist finally refined all the Shenlin black mice in the red gourd, extracting over a dozen strands of bloodline. This is, looking at the over a dozen strands of bloodline resembling blood diamonds before him, and feeling the yearning from deep within, the five treasure Taoist was amazed. At this moment, even if Lu Qing didn't say, he understood that these bloodlines were indeed a great opportunity. This is the extraordinary bloodline contained in the body of the black mutant beast. As long as it is refined, it can enhance the strength of our physical bodies. However, be cautious, as there is a strong evil qi within these bloodlines. If overly refined, the evil qi can invade the divine soul and erode the mind. Thus, during refinement, one must know one's limits and avoid excess. Otherwise, unbearable consequences may arise. Though Lu Qing felt that the witch's primordial blood extracted from the Shenlin black mice was not heavily evil and didn't affect him much, he wouldn't take his feelings as a standard. Perhaps for the ordinary Golden Core realm folks, that evil qi isn't easily dissipated. I see, the five treasure Taoist realized. He knew there wasn't free opportunity. There were certain risks involved. Little Li, Taoist, try to refine one strand of bloodline each first, and I'll protect you, said Lu Qing at this time. Isn't this inappropriate? These black mutant beasts were captured and slain by Mr. Chun and Little Li together. I didn't contribute much. The five treasure Taoist hesitated. No matter. We caught quite a few black mutant beasts this time, enough to share between us. At most, we'll continue to scour the forest sea later, Lu Qing replied indifferently. Moreover, he felt that there was a limit to the effects of the witch's primordial blood within the Foundation establishment realm Shenlin black mice. Once a certain amount is absorbed and refined, its effects might diminish. Of course, the specific quantity would only be known when undergoing real refinement. Since that's the case, I'll be shameless this time. Feeling a deep yearning for these bloodline strands resembling blood diamonds, the five treasure Taoist couldn't resist the temptation, feeling slightly embarrassed. He then opened his mouth and inhaled a strand of witch's primordial blood. As for Little Li, he had long grabbed a strand of primordial blood and stuffed it into his mouth. Watching both men and beasts begin to refine the primordial blood, Lu Qing observed their conditions as well. Before long, He saw little Li's expression remain calm, but a pained look appeared on the five treasure Taoist's face. Little Li is fine, but the Taoist seems a bit uncomfortable. Indeed, the evil qi within the witch's primordial blood should not be underestimated. Even the innate top-grade golden core that has passed through 7 layers of tribulation thunder cannot ignore it completely. Upon seeing this, Lu Qing had some realizations in his heart. Indeed, the five treasure Taoist hides his roots with exotic treasures. But how could he deceive Lu Qing, who possesses superpowers? He already knew that it was an innate top-grade golden core, refined through 7 layers of tribulation thunder. Moreover, its true cultivation wasn't just the surface golden core second transition, but it had already stepped into the golden core fourth transition in the middle realm. However, seeing now, the evil qi contained in the witch's primordial blood is indeed formidable. Even for an innate top-grade golden core like the five treasure Taoist, it was quite troublesome. Fortunately, despite the fluctuations in the five treasure Taoist's expression, he didn't seem in pain, implying he could still handle it. Lu Qing watched a while longer, ensuring there would be no issues, before turning his heart and spirit onto the Chenkuan Qi bag. Then he saw the 5 elements still sleeping soundly within, and shook his head. Since obtaining the corpse of a golden core realm spiritual beast from Little Li last time, the 5 elements fellow had been continuously dozing. Judging by the looks, it would need to continue sleeping for a period. Originally, he planned to have the 5 elements refine some witch's primordial blood as well, but now it seems he must postpone for now and keep the primordial blood for it. After a while, Little Li was the first to open his eyes, revealing joy in them. Ah Qing, this bloodline is truly powerful. Just a strand alone strengthened my physical body quite a bit. How do you feel about the evil qi within? Little Li tilted his head. Not much feeling, the evil qi doesn't affect me much. Lu Qing understood. It seemed after passing through 9 layers of tribulation thunder and forming a flawless innate top-grade demon pill, Little Li's divine soul had become extremely strong. The evil qi of the witch's primordial blood could not trouble it. Then you can refine more of these bloodlines. Lu Qing waved his hand lightly. Several strands of witch's primordial blood fell before Little Li. But aren't you going to refine, Ah Qing? Little Li asked. I'm not in a hurry, Lu Qing said. Though the bloodline is extraordinary, its effect on enhancing my physical body is not very significant. You try and see how much can be refined first. A single strand of witch's primordial blood could only slightly enhance Lu Qing's physical body. Even if all the primordial blood here were refined and consumed, his physical strength would not change significantly. Instead, he wanted to see how much witch's primordial blood someone at Little Li's level with a flawless innate top-grade golden core could refine. Then I'll refine some more. Seeing him speak this way, Little Li didn't hold back and continued to swallow a strand of witch's primordial blood. And it wasn't until Little Li was almost about to refine and absorb the second strand of primordial blood that the 5 treasure Taoist over there finally managed to refine the swallowed primordial blood, opening his eyes filled with joy. Mr. Chun, this bloodline is indeed mystical. I feel that my physical strength has increased by nearly 10%. No wonder those black creatures have such formidable bodies. The 5 treasure Taoist finally understood why those black mutant beasts had such strong physical bodies. Clearly, they are merely at the level of perfect foundation establishment, yet their bodies are stronger than most at the golden core early stage. With such mystical bloodline contained within, it's hard for the physical body not to be strong. It seems you have gained a lot, Taoist, Lu Qing said with a smile. Indeed, my cultivation method originally wasn't too adept at refining the physical body, but now with this peculiar bloodline, I can compensate for my shortcomings. The 5 treasure Taoist's heart was filled with joy. Then why don't you refine a few more strands of bloodline, Taoist? Perhaps you can completely rectify your shortcomings, Lu Qing suggested. I wish. The 5 treasure Taoist came back to himself and then shook his head. But, as you said, Mr. Chun, this peculiar bloodline indeed contains some powerful evil qi. Just now, while I was refining the bloodline, I felt the powerful aspect of this evil qi, and nearly had it invade my divine soul. Even now, That evil qi is still present within my body. I estimate at most I can refine 2 more strands of bloodline before reaching my limit. In the short term, until the evil qi is completely resolved, I can't refine any more of this bloodline. Can only 3 strands of bloodline be refined at most? Upon hearing this, Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. The intensity of the witch's primordial blood's evil qi was beyond his imagination. Even a strong person like the 5 treasure Taoist, having overcome 7-fold tribulation thunder with an innate top-grade golden core and reaching the 4th transition realm, can only refine 3 strands of primordial blood at once. If it's an ordinary low-grade or mid-grade golden core, wouldn't it mean they could only refine 1 strand of witch's primordial blood at a time? Finding this opportunity is not so easy, Lu Qing thought to himself. Not to mention whether the other cultivators in the secret realm can discover the witch's primordial blood within the bodies of these secret realm living creatures. Even if discovered, only a select few strong individuals can refine and consume it, significantly enhancing the power of the physical body. Anyway, Taoists should first increase strength. This secret realm is so unusual, and unforeseen events are likely to occur afterward. With greater strength, our confidence will be stronger. With various thoughts swirling in his mind, Lu Qing did not reveal them, instead speaking to the 5 treasure Taoist. This words made the 5 treasure Taoist's heart tighten. Originally intending to deflect, his expression immediately became solemn. Taoist said, "Mr. Chun is correct, I was too attached." Promptly, the 5 treasure Taoist swallowed another strand of witch's primordial blood and started refining it. At this time, Little Li had already completely refined and absorbed the 2nd strand of primordial blood. Without hesitation, it opened its mouth and swallowed yet another strand of primordial blood. Thus, under Lu Qing's protection, both the 5 treasure Taoist and Little Li continuously refined the witch's primordial blood. Among them, Little Li's refining speed was much faster than that of the 5 treasure Taoist. Typically, Little Li would refine 3 or 4 strands of primordial blood in the time it took the 5 treasure Taoist to refine 1 strand. By the time the 5 treasure Taoist refined the 3rd strand, Little Li had already started refining the 12th strand of primordial blood. Taoist, how have things turned out? Lu Qing saw the 5 treasure Taoist open his eyes and inquired. He had noticed earlier that while the other was refining the 3rd strand of primordial blood, a look of pain appeared on his face. Just as I anticipated earlier, the 5 treasure Taoist sighed. Refining 3 strands of bloodline consecutively has reached my limit. Continuing to refine, I fear my divine soul won't be able to hold, and will be tainted by the evil qi, doing harm without benefit. There was a hint of unwillingness on the 5 treasure Taoist's face. Such a rare opportunity to quickly enhance the physical body and compensate for the shortcomings of his path of cultivation. Yet he couldn't continue refining, indeed frustrating. Why must the Taoist worry? Once the evil qi within is purified, you can continue refining, just wait for a while. Being excessively attached hinders the Tao heart, Lu Qing consoled. Taoist said, "Mr. Chun is right. I was simply too impatient." The 5 treasure Taoist snapped out of it, calming down and quickly said. After speaking, he immediately activated his cultivation technique to settle his emotions. After a while, feeling his chaotic emotions completely calm down, the 5 treasure Taoist bowed to Lu Qing. Gratefully he said, "Thank you, Mr. Chun, for enlightening me. I nearly became attached again. I merely offered a reminder, nothing worth mentioning." Lu Qing replied, "Mr. Chun, I've reached my limit. Next, why not let me be your protector and refine this bloodline?" Lu Qing said, "There's no rush. Let's wait until Little Li finishes refining first." Hasn't Little Li finished refining? It was only then that the 5 treasure Taoist noticed Little Li, who was refining the primordial blood. Should be almost done. As Lu Qing's voice fell, Little Li already opened its eyes. However, inside, it showed a look of puzzlement. "Ah, Qing, I've also reached my limit." "Oh, you can't refine this bloodline any longer?" Lu Qing was surprised. Considering Little Li's performance, It shouldn't be unable to withstand the evil qi in the primordial blood. Moreover, there was no sign of discomfort on its face earlier either. Not that. Little Li shook its head. This bloodline seems ineffective for me now. When I finished refining this last strand, there was almost no increase in my physical strength. Is it this limit? Lu Qing was initially taken aback, then understood clearly. As he expected, the witch's primordial blood within the Shenlin Black Mouse indeed had its limits. This was within his expectation, as these Shenlin Black Mice themselves were only at the perfect foundation establishment level. If their primordial blood could infinitely enhance the physical strength of other living creatures, that would be abnormal. Then how much has your physical strength increased? Little Li? About 10%, Little Li replied. 10% is quite good. Lu Qing nodded. 10% may not seem like much, but it depends on who it's for. It's important to note, Little Li has overcome ninefold tribulation thunder, and condensed a flawless innate top-grade demon pill as a spiritual beast. Its body strength far exceeds cultivators of the same realm. With just over a dozen strands of bloodline, its physical body can once again increase by 10%. The efficacy of the witch's primordial blood is indeed quite astonishing. It seems the effectiveness of the primordial blood within these Foundation Establishment realm black mutant beasts is just like this. Perhaps to further enhance the physical body, one may need bloodlines from even stronger mutant beasts. Lu Qing did not forget the information revealed on the note that Superpower previously explored. It disclosed that the secret realm's mutant beasts all possess mystical bloodlines. In other words, even stronger mutant beasts also contain witches' primordial blood. Ah Qing, when you finish refining these bloodlines, shall we look for even stronger mutant beasts? Little Li's eyes brightened upon hearing. All right, let me see how much of this peculiar bloodline I can refine. Lu Qing and Little Li communicated via divine soul transmission. The 5 treasure Taoist observed from the side but did not interrupt. During this period of time together, he already knew that Little Li had a very strong spiritual nature. Not only understanding human nature, but also capable of transmitting divine soul. However, it never communicated with him,